I bet there's audio now. Yeah, no, I'm still trying to get familiar with my stream deck. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. There, okay. Cyberpunk says there. That tells me hopefully everything is good. Hey, Nighthawk can hear. That's great. Now this is good. All right, Bruno, thank you very much for confirming that. Let me, oh, sorry, I just needed a little tea to get me warmed up. And today, it's like 26 degrees outside right now. That is in freedom units, so like, I don't know, like -1 or -2 in units for the rest of the world. And it's like 61 degrees here in the studio space. So, hi, I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, not really much going on. I had a video go live already this year. Super stoked about that. Actually, that video is doing remarkably well, all things considered. And I want to thank you guys for watching that and checking it out, leaving comments, that sort of thing. Collins says, hi, glad to have you here. As I would say to everybody else who is currently here. Thank you guys for joining me on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, depending on where you are. Man, I really... Sorry, sometimes really hot liquid just does it for me. Right, yeah. Thank goodness for the rack behind you for the extra heat. That is 100% true. Yeah, like before I put this out here, it would be, I mean, the room is moderately insulated, but I'm willing to bet that it would be 45 to 50 degrees in here without that rack pumping out heat for me at the moment. Cyberpunk says it's 11 at night here in South Africa. I've always wanted to check out South Africa just out of sheer curiosity. Haven't ever been in that hemisphere at all, I don't think. No, I've only ever been in the Northern Hemisphere here in the States, and then a little bit in Europe, but not much. Bruno says 9 p.m. in Poland. That's awesome. I've been close to Poland, I suppose, if England and Scotland count, but that's about as far as I've gone away from here in the United States. So I'm actually, well, let's see. Isn't South Africa where Elon Musk is from, the Tesla dude? That is correct. I don't know how much they want to talk about that. I don't know how South Africa feels about that one, but this will blow your mind. It's summer and it's summer now. Yeah. Cyberpunk says, well, no, this will blow your mind. It's summer and it's hot. And that is because of the tilt of the earth from one season to the next or whatever. Craig, who is part of our Discord, is in Australia, so he's very much in the southern hemisphere as well. And he was like the first person I talked to regularly that everything was backwards as far as like spring and summer and fall and winter and everything just completely opposite of what we're doing here, and it confused me for a bit. But it's because I've never been there, never experienced that. Yeah, I wondered about that. Let's see. Akshay says, joining from India at 2:30 in the morning. That is crazy. I can't imagine being awake voluntarily at 2 o'clock in the morning anymore. I am very much not the night owl that I used to be. I don't know what actually changed there other than maybe having kids. But yeah, definitely not a night owl anymore, though sometimes I kind of wish I was. Collins says 4 p.m. in New York. Hopefully Collins can hang out for a bit before he goes out this evening. Cyberpunk says, yes, we do, but we don't want to talk about it. Just me. I don't blame you a bit. And that's in regard to Elon Musk. That is server fixing time. That's 100% correct. That is actually kind of what I started working on this morning. Is actually working on some storage for the HL15. I've actually started recording. I've got footage on both my phone, my S22, and some desktop footage from here. And got to make dinner for the kids in about an hour. Cool. Glad to have you here, Collins. So basically what I'm working on, what I'm working with, I suppose, just to give you guys a bit of a sneak preview since you're here, is if I go over here to my desktop, hopefully that is the right one. There we go. So this is my HL15 with all of my active services running on it and some inactive services as well, I suppose. But this is what I've been working on this morning. I'm getting ready to make a video out of all of this. But basically, I've got this HL15 back here that I've had for like almost a year now. God, it's been a while. And if we scroll down, I've got 52 cores, 256 gigs of RAM, and 34.68 terabytes of hard drive space. This morning, that was 24 terabytes of usable hard drive space because I had 3 4 terabyte hard drives that weren't being used. They're just sitting there. 2 256 gig SSDs sitting in there, and 4 8 terabyte drives. I suppose I could just come over here and find this. This would be easier, I suppose. Disks. Here we go. Let's just do it this way, right? And some of what we're going to talk about here will be in the video as well, but you're here, so let's chat about it now. So, 4 8 terabyte drives. That was my 24 terabytes of usable ZFS storage, and 2 by 256 gig SSDs and 3 4 terabyte drives. But I added these 2 10 terabyte drives this morning because my plan is to basically scrap the 4 terabyte drives, the 2 SSDs, and the 8 terabyte drives for a couple of reasons. The first reason being that, you know what, I lied. I shouldn't have come back to there yet. If we come back to our summary here, no, I lied. Let's go over here. There we go. Over here, I'm using 2.9 terabytes of hard drive space across the 24 terabytes that was there. That is 4 8 terabyte drives that are just kind of not being utilized. So my plan is for this project to, I put the two 10 terabyte drives in the system. I got those set up in a mirrored ZFS setup there. And then I'm going to start moving all of my LXCs and my VMs and that sort of stuff off of those 8 terabyte drives so that I can free those up and put them somewhere else and actually get them utilized, which should obviously give me more hard drive space in other places because I'm swapping those drives out, but should also, in theory, lower my memory usage as far as the ZFS requirements and that sort of thing. It should bring it way down. And that's kind of the goal that I've got here. I wanted to free up some hard drives for something else and reduce my memory usage. So yeah, this morning I put those two 10 terabyte drives in there. Where did it go? Right here. Yeah. So I put these two 10 terabyte drives in there, and then once I got the ZFS storage set up for that, I actually moved over FansFix, which was my dbtech.fans website that I had set up for a while until I panicked and shut it down for reasons that I can't explain without really digging around in my brain right now. So I moved that one over. In fact, we can see that's on the 10 TB. That's what I named that ZFS pool, was 10 TB. And then I also moved my template, which is when I need to deploy a new LXC from scratch. I can just clone this template and be up and ready to go with all of the basics that I need for Docker and Portainer, all that kind of stuff, as well as having all of the SSH keys built into it to connect to Ansible and Semaphore. So in order to get the rest of these moved over, I need to shut them down and then come over to here and do like a volume and then move, and then select that, delete the source, and then click move. But in order for that to work, I have to shut the containers down. I don't know if I want to do that yet. So that's kind of what I've been working on this morning. Well, I've been kind of working on formulating the idea over, honestly, the past couple of weeks or so. But went over to Go Hard Drive's eBay store and found a couple of 10 terabyte drives for like $90 a piece with 5-year warranties. And they showed up yesterday. So I got started on the project this morning, and hopefully I'll be able to get that done here in the next couple of days. And if I was a night owl, like Nighthawk pointed out, I would be doing that in the middle of the night. So, so let's come over here. Monarchius, I know I screwed that up. I apologize. But hi, thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. Cyberpunk says, look at all those hard drives, but please don't say server part deals. I can't seem to get them out of my feed. Sorry, it's not server part deals. As I mentioned, it is Go hard drive. In fact, all of the hard drives almost all of the hard drives in my network, minus a couple of drives that Synology has sent, have come from Go hard drive. They give 5-year warranties on a good chunk of their refurbished stuff. I've bought several drives from them. They've been great. I've never had an issue. I've chatted with them via email. Honestly, I was searching for a sponsorship, but they didn't have any at the time. So I buy them. They're a great price. They're a great value. And I know some people have had issues with refurb drives. I've been very fortunate, and I've never had an issue with a refurb drive. Knock on wood and whatnot. I know Linus recently did a video about refurb drives, and I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing that they're doing with refurbing these drives and putting them back out, putting warranties on them. I think it's doing a great service. Keeps this stuff out of the landfills. Let's see, Josh D. Thank you for the donation. I really do appreciate that. Colin says, if your wife found out you were selling feet pics on the fan site, if only it was like that. Let's see, Bruno says, out of curiosity, do you actually use Image for family as a replacement for Google Photos? I don't. I've considered doing it, but I back my phone up, my wife's phone. I guess that's it. Just our two phones. Our kid's backup solution is different for his device. But so I actually use Synology Photos to back up our phones. And it just works. I've never had an issue with it. I've just got our phones set to back up on Wi-Fi, not on mobile. And it's been rock solid for the last couple of years. I haven't had any issues with it. Prior to that, I've used Image, I've used Nextcloud Photos, or whatever their photo backup is, or their phone backup app is. I actually even had a thing set up with OpenMedia Vault 7. I had an SMB share set up with that, and I was using SyncThing to back up my phone as well. But one of the things I think I've picked up on over the few years that I've been doing self-hosting is that not everything needs to be a Docker container, right? Like, not everything needs to be elaborate for the sake of being elaborate. And so I started using Synology Photos to back up my phone, and I realized how slick it was, and it keeps everything here local. And so once I was comfortable with it, I added my wife's phone to it. So now her phone gets backed up constantly. We can, I will very often take a picture of something on my phone, and by the time I sit down at my desk, that photo is already sitting there on my Synology back here waiting for me, which works out really well in a lot of cases. So that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I've used Image in the past, and it was great. It was still real early on, I think, the last time I used it, though. Let me see. DB Tech YT. I know you guys can't see my screen right now, but that's on purpose. Man. What's that? Weird. No, I want that one. Why? There it is. 2 years ago. Man. Wow. So for some of you who have been subscribers, who've been watching the channel for a while, oops, there we go. Remember that layout where that whole wall back there was just those little cube shelf things, and Some of it hasn't changed, some of it has. But yeah, so that's when I made this image video, backing up your phone with image and Docker 2 years ago. When was it? August 18th, 2022. So just almost two and a half years ago since I used image last. So I need to revisit it because I know that it's been the go-to. I just haven't, obviously, in a couple of years. So let's do that. The Intuitive Rising, this is what I have a call, or sorry, Nighthawk says I have a pair of 18 terabyte drives coming Monday from Go Hard Drive, seconded for Go Hard Drives on eBay. I've got an eBay purchase coming up. I'll give them a look. Yep, Go Hard Drives, that's correct. I actually need to, and let's see, DB, hold on. Yeah, that's right. Man, let's see, was it this one? Sorry, I'm just double checking something here. Yeah, I can do that. Here, I'll share an affiliate link with you. If you want to use my affiliate link, that'd be amazing. Copy link address. That is for eBay. Those are 12 terabyte drives for like $80 or something, I think is what it was. Let me open this back up. Copy link address, new, like so. Sorry. Okay, so they were on sale. So now they're 12 terabyte drives for $110 a piece, which is still a great deal. But yeah, if you want to use that affiliate link, that's what that is that I just shared. Nighthawk says I use image for my photo backups and 2 tablets and my iPhone. I'm still trying to figure out the best strategy for setting up image. I might get one going soon. I use the paid PhotoSync app to back up images to TrueNAS. You know, I tried TrueNAS. I made a video about TrueNAS. Actually converting a TerraMaster NAS drive into a TrueNAS piece of hardware. Worked out pretty well. I never used it though, so it was kind of, it just sat on my shelf forever until I scrapped the hard drives and did something else with them. But not a lot of experience with TrueNAS. Let's see, I've been using image and using Backblaze for cloud backup. I really, really need to get an off-site backup solution. And we've talked about this so many times. I really need to get an off-site backup solution for a big chunk of this. I just got to figure out how I want to handle it. And I've still been too lazy to do it. Let's see. When I move a VM hard drive, I never delete it on the fly, only afterwards manually for safety reasons, for whatever reason. Yeah, so which is actually a great thing to do there. I'm just going to call you Monarch. I hope that's okay, because I will screw it up otherwise. I actually talk about that in the video that I'm working on, going through that backup process or that auto delete process. That you can either do it manually, or if you're comfortable with your backup solution. Because I'm on Proxmox, it's not a huge deal for me because all of my stuff gets backed up literally every night. So the most I could possibly lose right now would be 11 hours worth of data. And there's been nothing there. There's no reason for me to be worried about losing 11 hours worth of data. Yeah, but you could absolutely do that. Like once you've moved everything over, once you've moved your VM or your LXC to the new storage, then you can delete the old version if you want to go that route. Totally respect why somebody might want to do that. Let's see. You say. Okay, sorry, man. I thought I was having a stroke for a second. Cyberpunk. You say not everything needs to be Docker, but like the Kala Ansible. I'm also working on containerizing OpenStack up to 10 services. That's awesome. I really want to learn how to create Docker files to deploy applications. Not because I'm an app developer, but because I think it'd be a neat thing to learn how to do just for the sake of doing it. And I know that people have made videos on it, but I don't watch a lot of I don't watch a lot of tech YouTube. Like I'll watch an LTT video. I watch Mark Rober. He's not really tech, but he does some fun stuff. Jay, I'll watch. Basically, any of the LMG stuff I'll watch. There are a few other creators kind of in my little ecosphere here that I'll catch one of their videos every once in a while. But one of the reasons I don't, and I've actually seen other creators talk about this. In fact, I think it was Linus recently talked about this, and I've talked about this a couple of live streams ago. I don't watch a lot of creators in my own creator space so much because I don't want to take inspiration from somebody else's video and be accused of trying to repurpose their content. Right? I don't want them to be like, well, he stole that idea and so that's not really his content. He's a bad guy because he stole this idea from someone. That's honestly the main reason I don't watch a lot of self-hosting related content. I don't want people to think that I'm stealing ideas from other people because I've had my ideas stolen right down to my thumbnails, and it's frustrating. It's super, super frustrating when you log in and you see basically your thumbnail with somebody else's face on it. It happened to me. It's happened to me a couple of different times in the last few months, and it's frustrating sometimes when I see that. So I deliberately go out of my way to not watch tech content in my own ecosystem to prevent me from doing the same thing, which I know sounds maybe convoluted or over thoughtful or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, I don't want to accidentally steal somebody else's idea and then get called out for plagiarism or whatever. So, yeah. Duke says, I'd love to see a video on image. Slowly catching up with subjects with 1.25 play. Yeah, I don't blame you. Easy says, I've been hearing a lot about image, which I think I'll have to give it a whirl. Wait, they're out of stock now? What, those hard drives? I'm missing something, Collins. You just said they're out of stock now. It has to be those hard drives. Is it really that good? Yeah, so that's, sorry, Duke Seb says, are those HGST drives any good? That's pretty much all I've purchased. I think I purchased a Seagate once or twice. But like the two 10 terabyte drives I put in this morning were HGST, and I've always had really good luck with them. They're quiet, they work well. Like I said, these have got a 5-year warranty on them. So for like $90 a piece, couldn't really pass it up. For offsite backup, we can encrypt end-to-end on the offsite and share some home lab space to back up with one another. Might need a Synology out. Yeah, Josh, I've actually thought about doing something like that. In fact, again, Linus has talked about doing something like that in their, their little data center setup that they've got with the new HexOS, kind of having a friend share backup solution. The problem is that I've got, man, I don't even know. Like my Synology DS21 has 6 8 terabyte drives in it. So I don't remember what that works out to be. Hold on. Nope. Of course, that's not going to work, is it? 18. Anyway, I've got like 9 terabytes. Like I've got 30 or 40, 50 terabytes of space that I would need that I would need allocated to me for backing things up. And I don't think anybody wants to take that on in there. So it would be a matter of like, I would need to build a NAS basically to ship to somebody who's got a good, at least 1 gig symmetrical connection to back up that much data. And of course, like you said, encrypt it, that sort of thing. And look, I know a lot of the stuff that I want to back up doesn't necessarily need to be backed up offsite. So I'm still very much in a flux of I don't know what to do with certain things. Sorry, let me see. Sorry, I'm getting logged into one of my Synology NASs here. Yeah, so Oops, wrong one. Let's do that one. There we go. Yeah, so 20. Well, let's go over to here. Oops, control panel. Where is it? External network, shared folders. I am missing it. Hardware and power. Nope. Damn it. I can never remember where storage is in here. I hate it. Storage manager, where it belongs. So volume 1 is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 terabyte drives. So, and I've got about 8 or 9 terabytes left available on here, 8.5 terabytes free out of the 30 whatever terabytes that were available to start with. So, and I've got a good chunk of that backed up on, I got my media backed up to one NAS, and I've got my Proxmox backups backed up to a second NAS for redundancy there or whatever. So yeah, I need to figure out a good off-site solution. Let me get back up here. Kudu says hi. How you been? I'm glad to have you here. Dave says, are you still using Dockage, or however they want it pronounced? Thought I read that it wasn't being worked on anymore. I'm not, and it's not because I don't like it. I think it's a great product. I actually like it in some ways better than Portainer. However, the developer of Dockage is also the developer of Uptime Kuma, and he and his team have been hard at work getting Uptime Kuma version 2 ready to go. So that's where their primary focus has been for the past however long. And I know that they will, once they've got Uptime Kuma 2 released and out to the public, I believe that their next goal is to get back into working on Dockage and making that even better than it already is. That said, I would love for them to do that, because again, I really do like Dockage quite a bit. But there's always the concern, right? That sorry, I've got an itch. So there's always a concern with it being kind of a small team, that they could at any point just say, screw it, I'm out. And then all of your stuff is locked up in Dockage, and then you've got to redeploy things a different way. Whereas with Portainer, there's an actual corporation behind it. And I know that kind of goes against the whole idea of getting away from the man, so to speak, but it's a balancing act, Let's see. Bruno says, I have an offsite backup at my parents' home, which is located out of my location more than 10 kilometers away. That's good. That's really the way you should be doing it. Do you read knows about self-hosting? I do. I spent a lot of time in Reddit's r/self-hosting or self-hosted or whatever. Ethan Shawley and I, where we do a podcast together sometimes. I'm very often featured in his newsletters. So I read those every Friday, both because I'm curious about what's going on, but also because I'm always looking for new video ideas and things to check out. So I definitely keep my eyes and ears open, so to speak, with regards to what's going on in self-hosting. But yeah, typically I get it from Reddit and newsletters and things like that versus from other YouTube creators. Again, I just don't want to run the risk of accidentally plagiarizing something just because I liked the way they worded something and I kind of reworded it in my head. I don't want to deal with that fallout. So I just don't. Every once in a while, a creator will have a video that I'm super interested in that topic, and I'll watch it. And I don't think I can't think of a time where I've actually just gone in and immediately made a video about something else. Although I say that, I actually did that recently. I say that, and I immediately make myself out to be a liar. Who was it? There was one recently that I made a video on. Was it Ruba? I think it might have been Ruba. Yeah, it was Ruba. Oops, let's do that. There we go. So this is the back end for Ruba. But two things with that. Like one, I was also very, very deliberate in the video. I was like, hey, this other dude made this video. This is kind of my take on it. So if you feel like I missed something or want more information, go check out his video. I tagged him both in the description. I think also in a pinned comment. I might be lying about that part. Yeah, so both in the description and in the pinned comment, I tagged them just because I thought it was a cool video or a cool project. He did a great job as well. I don't mean to take away from that, but yeah. So most of my videos, ideas, most of my information comes from places other than YouTube, almost exclusively. Let's see. Cyberpunk says, I like watching self-hosted stuff, but I try to put my own spin on it every time just to avoid copying and pasting things. Yeah, 100%. See, one thing I mentioned in a Lawrence system stream is syncing with untrusted nodes so the data is encrypted on the storage node. Huh. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Uptime Kuma 2 as well. The Infamous says, why don't we see any Kubernetes stuff? I don't use it. I don't have any use for it. The last time I did anything that was even sort of orchestrated like that was a Proxmox high availability cluster where I used 3 Zima boards. I had 3 of the Zima board 832s, and I had those set up in a high availability cluster for like a year, and they ran smoothly. I never had any downtime, never had any issues. If something went down, something else would pick it up immediately. And I learned a lot going that route. Like first, just the general orchestration portion of things with regards to the high availability was a process to learn, which I appreciated learning. And then I switched things up a little bit and moved everything from local storage on the devices to an NFS share on one of my Synologies, so that there wouldn't have to be any kind of data duplication. All of the data would be stored in one place off of the actual devices, and they could be accessed simultaneously from any of the other devices without issue. And I really enjoyed that, though I did kind of screw with the title and the thumbnail a little bit, and pissed a lot of people off, because I talked about how I managed to save a whole bunch of memory by switching things up on my Proxmox solution. And while I technically did, it's because I wasn't using ZFS anymore. I was using an NFS share, and people thought I misrepresented to the point of needing to scream at me about it. So it is what it is. But at this point, I've got my HL15 set up with these LXCs and then these 3 VMs. And then of course I've got a backup solution for that with Proxmox backup. And then on one of my Synologies, I've got some other containers running that aren't what I would call mission critical. Like if they go down, if they get corrupted, I just spin them back up. There's no real data loss in a situation with one of those. So yeah, that's kind of why I haven't. I just don't have a need for it. If with my setup, I've got one ISP, I've got one power source, I've got one UPS, I've got one of everything. So putting things for me in some sort of like high availability orchestrated system doesn't make sense. The likelihood of one thing going down and not everything going down is next to 0. So it would just be adding additional overhead for what I'm doing. So that's why I haven't done anything Kubernetes related. I should add some subreddits to fresh RSS. Yeah, Uptime Kuma sounds interesting. I recently started an MK Docs site, and below the article I always have paste my sources. I used your videos quite a lot. Dude, thank you. I really appreciate that. Josh asks a good question, and I've actually wondered this myself. But he says, what would you say are the pros and cons between an all-in-one like the HL15 versus a mini PC and a dedicated NAS? So it depends on what your budget is for a mini PC, right? You could, for a couple $100, you could pick up, like a B-Link device like this. In fact, this was my home lab for a long time. For like more than a year, this was my home lab, with the exception of Plex. I had a TerraMaster F2 something set up as my Plex server because it had built-in transcoding because of the processor it had in it. But like I said, you can pick up a B-Link, one of these mini PCs, for a couple $100, and they work great. Depending on whether or not you get a Core Ultra or you get an i5 or an N series, that's all going to depend on what your budget is and what you're trying to accomplish, what your power goals are. If you're just looking for a very small, compact setup, going with a mini PC and a NAS, rock solid. I did it for a couple of years with no issues whatsoever, and that includes having half a dozen public-facing services that you guys had access to for. Like my LinkStack instance, like 2 or 3 different blog websites or wiki websites, like all of this public-facing stuff, you couldn't tell that it wasn't at a data center, and I think it's a great solution. In fact, it's probably, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it is a more practical solution than this nonsense back here. Like, it genuinely is, because like the HL15 behind me, with it spec'd out the way they sent it to me, with the gold Xeon processor with the 256 gigs of RAM, with everything that they sent the device, was thousands of dollars, right? Like thousands of dollars, and that was without storage. And don't get me wrong, super appreciate having that back there. It's kind of it means a lot to me from a sentimental perspective to have that HL15. But the reality is, like you could easily get, a mini PC and a TerraMaster NAS and have it do everything you need it to do. Here a while back, I made a video about the TerraMaster F4 424 Max. And it was a transcoding beast. Like I could have every TV in my house and all of my phones going simultaneously with 1080p streams without issues. I don't know how it would do with if you had somebody outside your house transcoding. But yeah, like you could pick up an inexpensive NAS and an inexpensive mini PC and have everything you need, other than maybe another backup solution. But for the basics, a mini PC and a NAS is really a great way to get started with a solid solution with self-hosting. That's what I'm trying to say there. Let's see. Let me go back up here. The Infinite says, I'd like to thank you as the way to my personal journey. That's cool, man. Started with Pi-hole and OMV and Linux, Docker, then Docker Compose. Got myself to the next level. Getting started with self-hosting journey. Yeah, dude, that's great. Love it. Home lab overhead is what it's all about. Yeah, there is that. I thought the Zima cluster was cool, but I'm personally not going to use a 1 gig NFS for database because for me the database is. Oh yeah. One of the nice things about those Zima boards, Zima boards. They've got the board, the blade, and the cube. Anyway, whatever their first one was, a Zima board, had 2 1 gig connections on it, and it had a PCI slot on it, so you could plug in a 10 gig NIC to that if you wanted to. So there were lots of options there, but I ran everything. Like I only ever used one of the 1 gig NICs on all 3 of them. Like I never used both NICs. I never added a NIC. I never did any of that. And you couldn't tell. Like all my stuff was super fast. But I think a good chunk of that may have been caching through Cloudflare, if I'm being completely honest. So, Colin says, when's the DB Tech Garage Studio still going to happen? Dude, I need to. Like, I really, really need to. Like, this is, and I feel dumb even showing you this. Don't drop that. These aren't being used, right? Like, I should do something with them. And that's only 4 of them. I've got more above my head right there on that shelf back there. Oh, I've also got the iFro, what was that? The K100, the all SSD NAS. Not a bad device. Just needs a better processor to really make it shine, in my opinion. I really do need to do something. I need to figure something out. I don't know, but probably not as soon as we'd want to, Collins, I guess is the point there. The only issue is that your storage is on a NAS and you had to restart the NAS for any reason. The containers the VMs are storing, they could all crash and you might have to restore them. Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that. Also, making sure that if you've got like your LXCs, your VMs on one device and all of your storage on the other, if say your Proxmox server boots up faster than your NAS, which it likely will, you may have to go back and manually reconnect all of your remote storage points. So it's always a good idea to just have your NAS up and running for a while before you start up your Proxmox server in that case, if you can do that. But it can be a pain in the butt if that happens. Duke says, yeah, I want that HL15. Mandy says, haha, then I just need to plan a flight to the USA for the garage sale. Yeah, I here's what's likely going to happen, and I feel like a jerk for doing this, but I feel like if I end up doing some sort of online sale of some sort, it'll be like United States, maybe North America only, just because I don't want shipping to be crazy. Like I'd be selling these cheap. Just because like I don't have the packaging for them. I've got like I've got the RAM in all of them, and I've got the power plugs and that sort of stuff for them. But I don't have the packaging for basically any of it anymore, which I know for a lot of people doesn't matter, but for me it does. It's a weird thing in my brain. So I would be letting these go pretty cheap when I get to that point. I just need to actually do it. Colin says, I already called dibs on the HL15 before it arrived at his house. He actually did. Yeah, that's a true statement. ASV says, hello, happy new year and greetings from Spain. Longtime follower from Barcelona and happy to see you starting this year with everything. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Let's see, where did it go? The scroll on this sucks sometimes. Nilsson says, hi, hope you and everyone else here had a great weekend. I hope you did as well. Thank you for stopping by. Mandy Helixia says, hello from the Netherlands. Practical IT with Jeremy says, I made it. Better late than never. Glad to have you here, Jeremy. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's hilarious. Look at all those mini PCs, Discord giveaway. Something, man. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I know where to use the little ones. One in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, one in the garage, one in the toilet, question mark. Easy says, from a security perspective, how do you feel about Cloudflare tunnels with a 2FA-enabled container? 100%. Basically, everything I have that is public-facing to the world, everything that has access, that the internet can access. How do I say that? Anything that I'm able to access from outside. Sorry, there we go. I bumped my. Anyway, so anything that can be accessed from outside my house goes through a Cloudflare tunnel. From there, There are some that are just publicly accessible, like DB Tech reviews and all of the others that I've got that escape me at the moment are just publicly available. However, I've got other things like password managers and that sort of thing that have to be accessed from a very specific IP address. In fact, it's 2 IP addresses, and so I've got them restricted that way. And some of the additional things, like my password manager, is not only IP locked, but it's also hardware key locked. So even if you get by one, you've got to get by the other. And I try to do that kind of stuff with most of my privately public-facing stuff is accessed only via certain IP addresses, and then a further lock with a 2FA, whether it's an OTP or a hardware key. All of my personal stuff gets locked up that way over Cloudflare tunnels. Let's see. Colin says, set up startup delays on your VMs and LXCs. I've actually done that. Well, let me rephrase that. I thought I did that, but I didn't. And so once I realized I didn't, I just went back to doing it the other way. And now the only thing I've got remote storage on at this point is Plex. And if Plex comes up and then my NAS comes up, I just reboot that VM. It's a 30-second reboot, and I'm back up and running with everything connected. So it's not too bad. It can be finicky if you're not sure what's going on. Yeah, the Infamous says, I'm confident enough to say that the reason why most people don't start building the projects is having hardware related to the electricity cost. Yeah, well, and that's just it. Like, man, I don't. Let me see what is in this one. Does it even say? Of course not. You can. The thing is, like, you can get a good, N100 or N95 and N200. Any of the N series chips are going to be pretty power efficient. They'll idle at like 3 watts or something, and then peak at like 30, I think, 30 or 35. And I know that power costs vary quite a bit across the world, but there are definitely ways that you can get into home labbing on a budget. And really, it's those N processors, those N series processors are really good for entry level stuff. And depending on what they've got available to them, they do a great job with transcoding as well. In fact, Collins got my B-Link EQ13, I think, after I did the review on it, and is using that for a scripted server, last I heard, for doing transcoding for his IP cameras. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like that's how that went. And he said it's been working great. So even the N-series processors are great for transcoding. Let's see. Just bubble wrap, no boxes needed. It may come down to that, man. Like, it genuinely might. Cyberpunk says I have a dedicated NAS for my 2 XCPNG servers, and yes, I've had to re-enable the storage because my node boots faster than Yep. A viewer from Bahrain is here. That's awesome. Easy says thank you. You're welcome. Josh G says the electrical cost is one of the reasons I'm thinking of selling the HL15 in favor of a low-powered NAS and some mini PCs. Dude, I don't blame you. I genuinely don't, because there have been times where I've considered going back to a mini PC setup, but in order for me to do that and really get the best possible situation for what I've currently got, I would want to get a Minis Forum or Minis Forum or whatever, the MSO1, because because of them having the the PCI slot for a graphics card. Because I want transcoding on my Plex server. I want it. I need it. It's now that I've had it for a while, I can't imagine not having it. And like right now in the HL15, I've got a 2070 in there doing my transcoding. But I've also got, hold on. Oh, right. I couldn't remember what it was. I've got a Quadro as well that I could use. In fact, I had this set up for transcoding for a while, but I wanted to go back. I wanted to do some Invoke AI stuff, and this being 4 gigs doesn't do AI very well. So I put the 2070 back in. It was kind of a trade-off, and I haven't done much with Invoke in a while. So if I were to go back to a mini PC setup, I would probably want to go with the Minis. I've heard Minis and Minis Forum MS01 again because it's got a slot in there somewhere for PCI, the standard PCIe interface right there. I'd want to throw either the Quadro in there, or I've got an Intel Arc Sparkle GPU that does really well with transcoding as well. So, but I've actually considered not selling the HL15 because it's kind of a sentimental piece for me to have. But I've considered downsizing and going back to a mini PC setup if I could convince Minis Forum to send me an MS01 to throw a graphics card in. So, let's see. Josh says the new Unify NAS is great. That's actually really good to hear. I'm currently in introductory talks with Unify right now about possibly working together. So we'll see how that goes. I've literally, I sent them a DM on Twitter. They're like, hey, email us here. I emailed them there. They responded back with hey, we're talking about it with our team, but let us know what you're interested in. So I sent him an email a few days ago, and now I'm waiting to hear. But it is the first of the year, so I'm not super worried about it at this point. They'll get back to me when they get back to me. I'll follow up in a week or something, see what happens. Not just power cost, but power availability. That's something I hadn't considered. It's not, I guess, availability here where I'm located isn't an issue, so definitely not something that had crossed my mind. Colin says, correct, it's now PVE2, no longer for scripted, just a recent development. Well, there you go. That is news to me, but I haven't been in Discord much over the past couple of weeks. Same reason I haven't been doing much live streaming over the past few weeks. I spent 3 weeks just feeling like garbage. It was this weird flu-like catastrophe. I was never it was never coming out of both ends, so to speak, but it just felt like garbage for almost 3 weeks. And I'm sure some of that showed up in my videos, but yeah, I just couldn't, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, because I wasn't in Discord, I haven't been doing live streams. I'm feeling a bit better. I've had a couple of doctor's appointments recently. Let's see. Oh, Colin says, I'm just using the Reolink app now until I go with a dedicated Reolink NVR. Not a bad idea. My other option is using the power draw for the HL15 as an excuse to add some solar to my house. I'd love to do that, but I still rent, so no doing that for me. I had the idea of an auto power off, power on time or on Wake on LAN, but I'm too lazy to implement it, and I've also got a bit complicated with port aggregation and Wake on LAN. Yeah, I've got one device set, one of my NASs. Sorry, I got an itch in my eye. I've got a NAS that turns on Wednesday morning at 12:01 a.m. and turns off Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. So that my media can get backed up to a different device. I just leave it on for 24 hours. It gives it plenty of time to do the synchronization, and then it powers off. But everything else is pretty much always on. I I can't tell. It's on my UPS is on percentage mode versus power draw, but I think I'm usually sitting at like 400 or 500 watts pretty consistently. Love, yeah, love the casual. I got a Quadro laying around into 2070 for Plex. Yeah, look, and here's like I kind of feel douchey. Like I know that a lot of this hardware could be going somewhere else, and it should. And the mini PCs probably will, but the GPUs probably won't, just because I like having some flexibility to swap things around real quick if I need to. But yeah, let's see. He's a P400 for Plex and Jellyfin transcoding, one for each. I would love to do something like that. I actually made a video about this a while back where my plan was to put the Quadro in with the 2070 and the HL15. Until I realized I only had one GPU slot on that motherboard, and just immediately scrapped that whole thing. And that was sad for me. I was really looking forward to a dual GPU setup for that exact reason. Except Plex and Invoke, and not Plex and Jellyfin. But Josh says, my other reason to downsize is just the need for more physical storage space. I could relocate my equipment to a smaller rack in the closet if I got rid of the big things like the HL15. That's fair. That's fair. Oh man. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with me. Just been kind of hanging out. Like I said, the last few weeks I haven't felt well, and I don't know, because it was both mental and physical, and I don't know if they were. I don't know if they were directly tied. You know, I wasn't feeling well mentally because I wasn't feeling well physically, or vice versa. My wife got her flu shot, and of course that, because of my immune system being the way it is, also kind of indirectly affected me. So I think that was a big part of it. And then I always get like seasonal depression around Christmas time. I have for a long time, so it's nothing new. I've been getting better, mind you, over the past few years, but yeah, I always get a little sad around Christmas time, but to go along with that, I was also not feeling well physically from these like flu-like symptoms. I've had a couple of doctor's appointments that have gone well. Had another one that didn't go as well, but we're working on it. So I've still got the secondary polycythemia, which is the non-cancerous version of that. The erythrocytosis is, I guess, the more accurate thing there, where I'm just producing too many red blood cells, but pretty sure that's related to my lungs and what happened last January, which has been a year. But when I talked to my hematologist, my blood doctor, she's like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it took you probably a year and a half total to recover from all of that. So periodically, I'll have to go in, I'll have to take some blood and throw it in the fire and be done with it. So other than that, everything's going pretty well. So for 8 years, is it 8 years? Almost 8 years, I had to do an injection twice a year of rituximab, to shut off my immune system. It's been a year since I've done one of those treatments, and my disease markers are staying low, which is good. And for the first time in my recorded medical history, my immune system is starting to come back, which I think is neat, but a little scary, if I'm being honest. So, let's see. An HP 620, not on 24/7. Use Raspberry Pi to turn it on. Oh yeah, I agree with Cyberpunk. You shouldn't expose AMT to the internet. Yeah, I wouldn't expose AMT. That is hardware level access to your stuff. You don't want to do that. I've got, like, the HL15 has IPMI on it, and I've got a laptop with vPro and AMT on it. So I got to mess around with that a little bit. I wouldn't want that publicly accessible. That seems like a really, really bad idea. Scheduling power on and power down. I'd like to see in your practice lab. Sorry, got sidetracked there for a second. So the power on, power off automatically thing that I have set up with that one NAS to back up my media, that is actually part of TerraMaster's operating system, where I'm able to just go in and say, hey, I want it to turn on at this time and turn off at this time. It's just part of. Let me see if I can find it. Hyper backup. I can just show you. Sorry, I'm jumping into this, and then it's. Of course, that's not going to work. 40. Oh, it's not going to work because it's off. Go figure. And of course, it failed. When did it last successful backup? Was the 25th. You suck. Why didn't you turn on? Yeah. See, and this is something. Oops. This is something I should have checked the other day for my media backups. That target's offline as it should be. But it should have backed up. I hate this. Bring this up. Yeah, it should have backed up the 1st, and it didn't. At like 3 o'clock on Wednesday, it's when it should have backed up, and it didn't. So now I got to figure out why it didn't boot back on. That's weird. I'll have to do that later. But yeah, so what I was doing, the way I handle that, which obviously isn't working well, is through TerraMaster's interface, and they take care of that for me. Also, Cyberpunk, to answer your question, asking Zach if he couldn't proxy an AMT manager with a Cloudflare tunnel, you have to have to my understanding, you have to have the agent, the Cloudflare tunnel agent on the piece of hardware that you're trying to access. So I don't think you could install that agent in the AMT interface to make that work. So let's see. Monarch says, flu-like symptoms, question mark. Do you like to read The Invisible or Rainbow? You work with electrical stuff. I'm not familiar with that. Here's the thing, right? I haven't read a book in a long, long time. And let's do that. An Invisible Rainbow is a groundbreaking story of electricity as it's never been told, exposing its very real impact on the biosphere and human health. Interesting. Yeah, I might give that a look. That sounds interesting. The problem that I have, though, like, I started reading at a very young age, and even when I was in like kindergarten and like first grade, that sort of thing, my dad and my stepmom would get me like activity workbooks to do. Because I enjoyed learning. I enjoyed doing the work. I enjoyed the process of all of that. So I picked up on that kind of stuff very early. By like second, third grade, I was reading Stephen King books, and my teachers thought that was inappropriate, which they might be right, but like I was reading like short stories, that sort of stuff by Stephen King. And his pseudonym, Richard Bachman, and so I read a lot of those growing up. I read all the way through like high school, even after high school. I read, but then in 2016 I got sick, and then I got some brain damage, and I have a hard time focusing when I'm reading, which I'm sure would get better if I did it more, but I haven't put a lot of effort into it, I guess is the better way to put that. Oh, damn it. I did it again. I bumped. Stupid. I got to quit touching stuff. But there have been some short story books that I want to pick up and take a look at because I know I need to read. I haven't done it. I haven't done enough of it in a while. So yeah. But I'll definitely give that book a look. Let me search for that again so I don't lose it. Christopher says, hello, everyone. Glad to have you here. Thanks for stopping by to hang out for a little bit. Super appreciate that. But yeah, let's see. Make sure I haven't missed anything else. I like to keep up on everybody. So, yeah, okay. So, anyway, let's do this. Just for the giggles of it, let's close that. Let's move some stuff around real quick. I haven't used this in a while, so console. Just gonna do this. Shut down now. So I'm just gonna shut down this hedge dock and get it moved over. Just cause that was the main goal. That was the main the main thing that I was gonna do. When I started up the stream today was just kind of get some work done and chat with you guys, and you've distracted me. You don't say please. It depends on what I'm asking, I guess. Sub me into your containers. Oh, right, yeah. I read a thing a while back, or saw a thing, or something in my something from my eyes and my ears combined. Said that using please when you're talking to AI is like asking them for a favor or asking them a question to which they can say no. And I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. And so of course I've been, oh, never mind. I'm so dumb sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and just move the volume, and then I'll start it back up. And then once it's back up and running, I'll delete the extra content like it was brought up. Anyway, so I've been like when I'm using ChatGPT or when I'm using Gemini or when I'm using whatever, I will falter because I was brought up to say please and thank you, and I still say please and thank you to like Google Home Assistant. So for me to not say it to the ChatGPT and the Geminis and that sort of thing makes me feel weird. So I have to keep kind of going back and forth in my brain about, do I give them a command, or or do I be polite so that when they do take over, they'll remember me fondly? I've been struggling with that, and I know it sounds dumb, but it's genuinely something that I struggle with when I'm working with AI and technology about whether or not to be polite to it, just because I don't want it to think that I was abusive, which I know is dumb. I know it's dumb. Okay. I really, my wife is nice to the echoes, but I'm demanding. That's fair. So for a long time, my when I would tell Google to like turn off a light or do something, she would say, "Hey, this has been done," and I would say, "Thank you," and she'd be like, "You're welcome, David." And it used to really frustrate my wife because the Google Assistant would call me by name, but wouldn't call my wife by her name. So finally, I was like, "Hey, just say, hey, Assistant, please call me, this." And since she's done that, it's been much better about addressing her by her name. But I thought it was kind of just funny that like Google addressed me by my name, and it frustrated my wife. So we had to get that switched up as well. Let's see, start. Let's see if I can do it this way. So we've moved over. The root disk is on 10 TB. That's where I want it to be. Storage is the unused disk 0. So we're going to do, that's what I wanted to see first. There it is. Okay, cool. So HedgeDoc is up. So now I can remove that. Yay. Now, make sure, yay, HedgeDoc is still up. That's great. So that, I get to do that a few more times. All right, so let's see. I know I missed some stuff here. Use Proxmox now and mainly use XCPNG. So doesn't Proxmox handle live storage migrations? It can. Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? Like I've got, where did it go? Storage 1. Okay, this is my 24 terabyte storage pool here. This is where most of my containers and LXCs and VMs live, minus the few that I've moved already. And I'm moving them all over here to this 10 TB right there. We can see that we've got some storage being used there. But like if I come over to memos and I go to resources and I select the root disk and I say volume action, storage move, and then select the 10 TB and click move, it can't move a container that's running. So I have to shut that down. I don't know if that necessarily holds true with VMs. I'm going to assume not. I can just do this, do that. So it doesn't, from my experience with the way I use it, it can't move something that's running from one storage solution to another. So that is my experience anyway. Let's see. When I try to remove or delete a container from my Proxmox, it doesn't remove or delete. Anyone here know why? Not without more information. That's probably something you'd be better off getting help with in Discord, if I'm being completely honest. Let's see. iPhone, welcome to the new AI overlords. I don't know if I do yet or not. Jorge Gomez says, made it, making some guacamole and having some carne asada and tuning into DB Tech Live. That's awesome. That sounds so good. My wife made this pasta dish last night. Let me do this real quick. Move storage, move it to 10. We'll do that. Anyway, my wife made this pasta dish that she's made in the past, where it's using like stew meat, like little chunks of beef. They get cooked a little bit and then like put in this like soup to fully cook it with some vegetables and some broth and a bunch of other ingredients. And then there's she's got these like penne noodles that she uses. They might not be penne, but they're noodles of some variety that are like macaroni noodles, but straight. Anyway, once everything is cooked and put together, it's amazing. I had it for brunch today as well. It was really, really good. I've always been such a fan of meals like that. And carne asada and guacamole sounds so good. I've been eating a lot of guacamole lately because my doctors tell me I need to stay away from animal fats as much as possible because of my cholesterol. So I've been trying to get more of my stuff from like guacamole, that sort of thing. Okay, so memos should be, memos. Oh, right, start. We'll give that a second to start up and make sure that it works. Our Echoes noticed my wife was new to the home when she moved in, and out of the blue sky asked about her. Wow, I bet that freaked her out. Holy crap. Is it possible as a book subject to make it an assistant that can read you a book while you're at home, plant speakers where you want to hear? I mean, I think there are audiobook readers that would work. ASB says, every time I use some sort of AI, I always say thank you, don't want to risk it. Yeah, that's kind of how I've been for a long time. Josh G says, question for anyone. Any recommendations on where to sell extra home lab stuff, especially if I decide to sell the HL15? It would be nice to get some funds back on that. I agree with eBay. You might also check the home lab community, if I'm being honest. There's, that one moved as well. Reddit, hardware for sale. Oh, here we go. So like, Reddit's got Hardware Swap, which I think is another one. It was one that people use quite a bit. Yeah, this is an hour ago. I know that there are a few different hardware sales related subreddits that you might check out as well. You might hit up some different Discords that are part of the community. eBay obviously is an option. But yeah, that'd be probably my recommendation as well. VM's containers need to be stopped with migrations unless you're running a full cluster with Ceph, which makes sense because the storage is on a completely separate. It'd be the same as using an NFS share as well, I believe. You wouldn't have to stop them for that because the storage is somewhere else for those. See, Dave says, I use Dockage and Portainer. If I wanted to migrate my Dockage stuff over to Portainer, what's the best way to do that? So what you'd want to do in that case is take the Docker Compose that you used in Dockage. sorry, I always get this one little hair that pokes me right up inside the nose. So get the Docker Compose files that you use from Dockage. In Dockage, shut those containers down, like one at a time probably. Then take that Docker Compose for the original container, take it over to Portainer and deploy. It might work. You might also have to deploy a fresh instance of that and then in Portainer, then stop the container and then move your old data to the new container setup. I've done that as well. It's not a fun time, but it can be done. White Lotus says, does AdGuard work better on OpenSense? It shouldn't matter. As long as your DNS is pointed to your AdGuard, it shouldn't matter. It should all work the exact same, I would think. Never had it. Let's see. Eat garlic. I eat a lot of garlic. I really do. And I've started getting back into eating more oatmeal and salads. The problem is, and I actually talked to my, who was it I talked to? Oh, I saw my cardiologist the other day. We were talking about my cholesterol levels, and they've been kind of all over the place. And I was like, look, I understand that, part of this is me, but part of this is also genetic. My dad died a couple of years ago from a heart attack. His dad died 30 years ago from a heart attack. So having high cholesterol is kind of a familial thing for me, a genetic thing. So I'm kind of working against that. But the other problem that I have is that I am pre-diabetic, so I have to watch my sugar intake. I have chronic kidney disease, stage 3B, which isn't great. So I have to watch certain things for my kidney diet. I've also got high cholesterol, so I've got to watch that as well. And I'm on blood thinners, which means I have to watch that as well. So that is like 4 different diets that I'm on simultaneously to appease all of my different conditions, right? Like with the blood thinners, I can't have things like broccoli or kale. Like I can have small amounts, but I can't have a normal serving size because of the vitamin K in them. And there's a lot of foods that have vitamin K in them that I can't have as a direct result of the blood thinner that I'm on. Of course, because of the high cholesterol and the heart issues that I've got to watch my red meat intake. I've got to watch my cholesterol intake. I've got to watch my fat intake. Because of the pre-diabetic thing, again, like I said, I've got to watch my sugar intake and my starches and my carbs and that sort of thing. But then, because of the kidney disease, the kidney diet is bullshit. Because everything we ever learned about how to take care of yourself properly with proper diet, nutrition, and that sort of thing goes completely out the window with a kidney disease diet. So that one contradicts the other 4 that all contradict each other. So I voiced my frustration to my cardiologist about that when I saw him the other day, and he's like, yeah, no, it sucks. I don't blame you for being frustrated at all. Having that many different things to work around sucks. I feel bad for you, basically. So anyway, I need to find a good dietitian, somebody registered and trained who can help me come up with something that will appease all of the different conditions that I've got. It's likely going to be a lot of oatmeals and salads and things like that for a while. Especially after the holidays, I put like 15 pounds back on, which really upset me. So I've got to change some things up. But just trying to find a way to do that fits within all of these different dietary requirements I've got because of my conditions really complicates things a lot. Thanks for the info. Thank you. So Fish Frog says there's also a less popular one called r/Home Lab Sales. That's actually the one I was trying to remember. So thank you for bringing that up. White Lotus says that is hard. Yeah, it's not great. And like, look, there are days where I'm just like, you know what, screw it. I'm only going to deal with, I'm only going to deal with one of these things right now. Like, and I give up for a day. And like, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I don't care if it's got too much fat or too much cholesterol or too much, just like, F it. This is what I'm doing today because I need a break from the crap. So, yeah, so that's kind of some of the frustration I've been dealing with for a while now, if I'm being completely honest. Mostly since, honestly, it's been the last year now that I think about it, because that's when I got put on the warfarin, which is the blood thinner, which took away like broccoli. My favorite vegetable in the world is broccoli, which sounds weird. Carrots are second behind that, but my wife has been doing this roasted broccoli thing where she takes like a bunch of like broccoli bulbs or whatever they're called, the little florets, and chops them up so they're fairly small, bite size, puts them on a pan, like a cookie sheet, hits them with a little bit of oil, like olive oil, and some like salt, and throws them in the oven on broil for a while. And it's so good. It's kind of charred and kind of so good. And I can't have it anymore. And that's really, really sad for me. Yeah, monk fruit sweetener. Monk fruit sweetener is awesome. Monk fruit is so good. I've had a couple of drinks with that recently, and it just blew my mind how good that was. Is that a good practice to make a server VLAN PTP on Edgeland 30? Yeah, I got nothing on that one, Monarch. That is not a question I can answer. My diet's all chicken and fish, no sardines or fish that produce high purine broccoli. Yeah. I'm also a big fan of oysters, but I was actually going to get some oysters a couple of weeks ago when I was at the store. And I grabbed just one of those little like one serving cans, and I flipped it over just to see what the nutritional facts on it. It was fine. Obviously, sodium was a little high, but the cholesterol in this one little can was 47% of your daily cholesterol intake in like this one little. I just immediately put it back and walked away because again, one of my favorite foods. Can't have it anymore because of the cholesterol. So, use coconut sugar. Nighthawk says I use coconut sugar with my coffee. I bet that's good. I don't put sugar in my coffee. Let me rephrase that. We get like Safeway brand, the Lucerne brand, Italian sweet cream coffee, and I put just a little, or coffee creamer rather, and I put just a little bit of that in the bottom of my coffee cup, and then pour my coffee, and that's all I do to my coffee. I don't go any farther than that. Dankshire says I'll DM you what I get. It's the liquid and pretty good if you want to try it. I'm always up for whatever. Oddly for me, it's turnips. I used to grow them, and my grandfather and I would pick them and eat it. Every pill has a side effects. Alternative don't. What belongs in the body is okay. What is? Yeah. There's definitely some thought to that. As far as medicines have side effects. Look, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. Arsenic is natural. Nightshade is natural. Out in the world, you can just go pick it yourself with some of that, and it'll still kill you if you put it in your body. So not everything natural is good for you, and not everything man-made is bad for you. That's kind of the way I've approached it. Like aspirin is honestly just the bark of a certain type of tree. There's a lot of different things out there that are good for you that are in nature, and there's a lot of things out there that are bad for you that are in nature. So you got to be careful about how you frame certain things. Let me make sure. That one. Mama's back up. I can remove that. Say yes. All right. Do you have gout? I do not. I've never been diagnosed with it. I guess I can say that. I have gout and I'm on medication for it. So I can eat stuff with high purine levels in moderation. When did a tech maintenance stream become a diet talk? It is still maintenance. White Lotus is correct. Because it's DB and us old folks, there is that too. We'll let the young ones take the rails. My cholesterol is elevated without eating beef and pork. Of course, be careful. Always read before. Agreed. Yep. But the other part of that, right, is you've also got contraindications for different things, right? Like you might be able to take, Flexeril, just as an example, right? Or I'm not even gonna say that. You can there are different pills that you can take and be fine with, but sometimes two pills you've never had an issue with, if you take them at the same time, can cause them to counteract each other, or cause one pill to do the wrong thing, cause the other pill to do the wrong thing, cause both of them to do the wrong thing, or cause both of them to do nothing. So you've also got to look at contraindications between the pills you're taking, the supplements you're taking, the vitamins you're taking. You got to make sure that those things aren't working against each other, and of course, in turn, you. So there's a lot of reading and a lot of stuff that has to be done before you decide to take a route on just about anything with that. So his body maintenance, yeah. So yeah, anyway. That was just because of my dietary stuff. In fact, I love tea as well. I'm drinking tea right now. This is English tea #1 from Ahmad. They're not sponsoring, but if they wanted to, I like Ahmad tea. It's good stuff. But I can't have green tea because of some of the meds that I'm on. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head. But yeah, when I was hospitalized in 2016, I was told I can't have wow, how did I screw that up? Sorry, I'm trying to find something here. There it is. Okay. So yeah, it's about finding the things that work with your body, with your conditions, with your metabolism, your everything, man. Check out. Let's see. Hi from Norway. You need to check out Docker Moonrail Gun. Tianji? Interesting. Let's take a look. There we go. We'll do hub.docker.com. Interesting. All-in-one Insight Hub, Tianji equals website analytics, uptime monitor, and server status. Interesting. Roadmap, website analytics monitor. Interesting. So, and it's inspired by Unami and Uptime Kuma. Huh. Well, then, oops. Let's do github.com. Let's look at it over here. This is Moonrail. All right. Let's look at this one. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. That looks kind of neat. White Lotus's tea make your thing very thin. I don't know what that means, but there's something about green tea that I can't have because of meds or my condition or something, and I can't remember which one it is. So I have to stick to black teas, herbal teas, things like that, just not green teas. Thomas W. says, if craft computing can push booze, then you can push tea. I agree with that. I've honestly wondered how he's gotten away with doing that. I don't have an issue with it, but I'm sure that some people out there might. So there we are. So next step I'm going to do here is get this link stack moved over. Actually, man, there's a whole thing about link stack. So I used to have this open to the public, this link stack instance where you could have your own little profile page like this. And then all of a sudden it got bombarded with Asian gambling sites. So I wanted to go in and delete a bunch of stuff, but because of the way the backend was built, the admin panel was built at first, until recently, I guess, you had to delete each account one at a time, and there were thousands of accounts. So one day I just sat there and just clicked delete over and over and over again. It was delete and confirm and delete and confirm and delete and confirm. It was such a mess. And I know I could have used a database management tool to do it faster, but I was not sure how I was going to handle it in the end. And by the time it really mattered, I had already done most of it. So we're just going to shut down link stack. Let's see. Oh, intestine. Very thin. I don't know. Thanks for looking at archive box by nagging that in early streams. Yeah, I am. I thought archive box was a cool project. I'm glad I took a look at that. I really enjoyed that. Volume action, move storage to that, and move. Damn it! I need to remember to open that bottom tab. I really need to do that so that I can see what's going on. Like I can see that it's locked over here, so I know it's doing something. But that doesn't help me out as much as I'd like it to. But yeah. So this was honestly my plan for today. But you guys are always keeping me talking for some reason. I can't imagine why you'd want that. Excuse me. But I'm glad you're all here. I really do appreciate you guys hanging out and chatting with me today. If you've enjoyed what we've been doing so far, be sure to hit the like button for me. That'd help me out quite a bit. If you wanted to share this with someone, that would be cool too. Also, while we're at it, so a couple of changes that might be coming with regards to live streaming content here on the channel. Hopefully, now that the holiday season's over and I'm past the bug that I had, whatever, okay, that's done. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just start this back up. Start, and we'll come back. So plans. So because I was sick for a while, I didn't stream. We talked about that. But now I'm feeling better. New Year is here. Holidays are mostly over. I'm going to be trying again to do some more live streaming as long as my health lets me. A couple of my Discord mods have showed interest in being on the channel, either on video or via audio or whatever the case is. So we've talked about doing some of that. I may be doing some more stuff with Ethan Shawley over on his channel with some video content over there. That doesn't really apply here so much, but I may be starting to bring guests on for live streaming and that sort of thing. So I wanted to bring that up. Also, I'm thinking there are a couple of different creators that I watch who have kind of brought this to the public's attention. And I know I'm way behind the curve on this, but basically I might start doing multi-streaming. So basically like streaming to like YouTube and Twitch simultaneously, just for a couple of reasons. And it's partially, mostly, honestly, it's mostly for selfish reasons, right? The reason for that is YouTube is really good about showing the live streams after the fact and people viewing those later. They're really good about the video on demand live stream aspect of things. And that's been great. However, my understanding is that Twitch live stream, like while the video is going on, has a higher chance of generating revenue. So kind of getting the initial revenue from streaming on Twitch, and then and of course they'll be doing Twitch and YouTube simultaneously, but then getting the kind of the VOD, the video on demand revenue from the replays and that sort of thing over on YouTube is kind of the way I've understood it from Pirate Software. As a guy I've started watching fairly recently, and then I think Linus has talked about it a little bit. There's one other creator who has popped up in my feeds talking about that. Ludwig. I think it was also Ludwig that might have said something similar. So anyway, I'm considering doing that. I'm considering doing a multi-stream thing, one like on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously to kind of balance some things out and generate some more revenue, some more engagement, some more audience, that sort of thing. That's my plan. Now that is up and running, I'm gonna click remove and click yes. Sorry, there we go. Let's see. I have a test server where the Proxmox is on spinning Rust. When I make containers, can it make the hard drive? Can it make it hard for the hard drive to keep up? It shouldn't. I mean, it depends on your spinning Rust, I suppose. I think it still runs if you X out. It probably does. Let's see. Let me open that up. Anyway, I have a question. Where can you? White Lotus says Happy New Year. I agree. Happy New Year to everybody. Thomas W says I have a question. Where can you go to find what components like light bulbs and stuff to use with Home Assistant? I've looked in the HA side, but most of it is listed for Europe, and I'm trying to do Amazon. So I agree with what Nighthawk said there. Oh, Josh, I go to Go Hard Drives over on eBay. So yeah, I agree with what Nighthawk said there as far as that's concerned. You can also, like, when you go into hacks on Home Assistant, you can get other integrations that aren't necessarily native to Home Assistant. And of course, there are always workarounds, like with GoV, for instance. Some GoV stuff works locally with the GoV app installed in Home Assistant, but other things aren't local. So, like, even though you're controlling it through Home Assistant, it's still going out and hitting the GoV servers and coming back. So, if your internet's down, that device still isn't going to work. I like the idea of using Zigbee and Z-Wave. In fact, Nighthawk sent me a Zigbee Z-Wave controller that I've got plugged into the HL15 and passed through to my Home Assistant setup. I've also still got the, you can't see it, the Link screen thing up there. Had a lot of issues with it. I was really excited about it, and I haven't given up, but I haven't touched it in a long time. It's also got, the reason I bring it up is it's also got Zigbee and Z-Wave built into it. The nice thing about Zigbee and Z-Wave is they use their own network, so it doesn't rely on your Wi-Fi network that will slow down, say, your phones and your TVs and stuff like that. The Zigbee Z-Wave networks all communicate with each other, so it's kind of a mesh network between devices, which can keep things running very, very smooth and fast without affecting the rest of your Wi-Fi. So yeah, there's that. All right, Cyberpunk, thanks for hanging out. Do appreciate that. We'll talk to you next time. Nighthawk says, stay away from Temu. Single Cree and Govi are good options for lighting. Home Assistant has good Discord server too. That's agreed. The first two are Zigbee and Govi. It's Wi-Fi, but the local LAN control through MQTT is control for. Yeah, so okay, that's a fair point. Nighthawk brings up Zigbee does run on the same 2.4 Wi-Fi protocol, so there could be some interference. But I think the reality is, most of us who are doing smart home stuff, we're not running our TVs and our phones on 2.4. We're running, surveillance cameras, and we're running light bulbs and that kind of stuff on the 2.4. And those aren't really transmitting more than 100 kilobits of data at a time. So it shouldn't be too bad. I will say that my 2.4 network is pretty saturated right now. I need to break it out a little bit. But yeah, so most of my lights at this point are Govi. I think like the light bulb that I've got there on the wall right there, I think is Govi. My light strip back on the shelf, as well as in my rack, those are both Govi. I've got Tapo in my bedroom, I've got a Tapo LED strip in my bedroom and a Tapo LED strip on my front porch that I'd actually like to replace. In fact, we should talk about that too. But like all of the other bulbs I've got in the house are all Govi, I think. So with that, let's talk a bit about TP-Link. I haven't looked into this much, but it seems like there's a chance that TP-Link and Omada might get banned by the US government. Link ban. And if that's the case, that sucks because my whole network is Omada. The government may ban TP-Links this year. How worried should you be? The company is reportedly under investigation for ties to Chinese cyber hackers. Let's do that. TP-Link makes some of the most popular routers in the country, but they may not be available in the U.S. for much longer. Investigators at the Commerce, Defense, and Justice Departments have all opened probes into the company that have to do with Chinese cyber attacks. These departments are weighing a potential ban on the sale of TP-Link routers, according to the Wall Street Journal article published last week. TP-Link has become increasingly dominant in the U.S. router market since the pandemic, according to the Journal Post. It grew from 20% in 19 to 65% this year. That's crazy. TP-Link disputed these numbers to CNET. In a separate analysis from the IT platform, Landsweeper found that 12% of home routers in the U.S. are TP-Link. Let's see. I think it's more the consumer, not the prosumer, the enterprise. I hope so. But the problem that I have, honestly, and I think you and I have talked about this, Nighthawk, like over in Discord, is that even the prosumer stuff from Omada, the logs in it are garbage. Like the logs are absolutely garbage in the Omada interface. Like when I log into my dashboard, like I can see what's connected and I can see how much data they've transmitted and how much data they are transmitting. But as far as like actual logs that are useful to track down an issue, they're almost non-existent. And that's super, super frustrating. So that's honestly part of the reason that I'm in talks with Ubiquiti, is because I want better logging. And also I don't want my hardware to be affected by a ban. Yeah, Omada logs are crap. Yeah, I run 3 TP-Link cameras and Omada Wi-Fi, but I've never used their routers. Prefer pfSense for that. TP-Link ban should only be for routers, not their Wi-Fi. The ones I saw, I cannot, White Lotus, who asks, can you make a video for TrueNAS scale using CloneZilla from Proxmox VM? To TrueNAS VM, I don't have hardly any experience with TrueNAS. Like I made a video about TrueNAS once, and that was just installing it on some other hardware from a TerraMaster perspective. It be fixed with simple USB dongle. Yep. But not. Yeah, like, and here's the thing, right? Like I've got my Omada hardware. It's kind of a thank you gift from TP-Link because I moved to so much TP-Link merchandise via my Amazon affiliate sales a couple of years ago. Like it was tens of thousands of dollars of TP-Link mesh networks and routers and all kinds of stuff on my Amazon store. Like I don't sell the product, it's just like my Amazon influencer page. But I'd moved literally tens of thousands of dollars of their product over one 12-month period. And I was like, hey, if you guys wouldn't mind hooking me up with this Omada setup, that would be great. And they did. But now I kind of feel, I don't know how I feel, but like I pushed a lot of that product that is now being called into question for this kind of stuff. And my feels are hurt, if I'm being honest. Like I really wanted, I hope the allegations are wrong, right? I don't have any proof that the allegations are true. But I'll be curious to see what happens when they do more of the research into this stuff. Allison Pell says, I did consider moving to Unify, but it's so much more expensive than Omada, and the Omada works. And that's just it, right? Like I had Unify, Ubiquiti, whatever, and then had the opportunity to switch over to Omada. And the reason I wanted to get away from Unify, Ubiquiti, I'll pick one at some point, is because I kept having issues with anytime there was an update, it seemed like there was a 50-50 shot on whether or not that device would then crash and I'd have to manually reboot it and do something to bring it back online. It seemed like those updates were causing more issues than they were fixing for a long time, and I was having a lot of issues with that. So I wasn't updating my stuff, so when I was given the opportunity to switch to Omada, I jumped on it, and now there's this issue with TP-Link, but a while back I did a video on, if I could type, I did a video on SafeLine, the web application firewall, and as I was going through that, that's when it really clicked for me. When I did that SafeLine video, it clicked how little I had with regard to with logs to go through and see what was going on. So now that I've got no logs, and now that the TP-Link brand might get banned here in the US, I'm ready to take my chances and whatnot with Unify again. And I hope to hear back from them soon. So if any of you guys know somebody that works at Ubiquiti, Unify, whatever, UI.com, that'd be neat. But no, I've already got an email into them. Real type, there you go. TV stuff, but I never added the Omada stuff. It works fine without. Yeah. I agree that the ban shouldn't affect the stuff that I already have, but if they make it so my concern is that in the grand scheme of things, if the US bans TP-Link's hardware, then there's a good chance, I would think, that the getting firmware updates for the hardware that I've already got might be harder to get, and those updates may come at sparser intervals, right? Like now I get an update fairly regularly, but it may switch to a point where I'm only getting an update maybe once a year because that's all I can find. So it shouldn't affect what I've currently got, but in the long run, it could affect updates and things like that. So I'll be curious to see how this whole thing plays out, because like I've got a shelf over here with several TP-Link mesh network solutions that I reviewed for them and promoted on my channel. And now I'm just like, well, let's see how this goes. So hopefully they'll allow for updates and that sort of thing. Because otherwise, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be scrambling to try to find new solutions for their home networks, and that's going to suck. And it could end up screwing up the actual like prices of things because of scarcity and that sort of thing. So I'll definitely be curious to see how that goes. Okay, so Allison says if TP-Link cuts update frequency, that'll affect their users worldwide, unless they just make it so that we in the US can't access the updates. I could actually absolutely see it as being like, the US bans their hardware, so they ban us from getting their software updates. It could absolutely be a tit for tat kind of situation, where the rest of the world would be able to get those updates easily, and they could end up doing something like in their firmware being like, if North America, then don't, don't allow this to go out to the North American market, even if you can download it from Canada or wherever. If you're in the United States, screw off, you can't have our updates. I could absolutely see that being kind of a retribution kind of thing. So look, and like, I know I'm overblowing this, but I always try to look at the worst possible way this could go, or whether it's this or whatever. I always look for the worst possible outcome of something and then work backwards to figure out how to make sure that doesn't happen for me. Which I know is a really weird way to do things. It's how I've always done things for lots of different reasons. Man, that's good tea. Really like tea. Come on, don't fall in there. So anyway, all of that is to say, I'll definitely be curious to see. Look, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Allison. Again, I'm trying to think of the worst possible outcomes and figuring out how to work backwards from there. TP-Link has always been really great to work with, but from my understanding, so was Honey, right? So I'm very much somebody who always looks at the worst possible outcome of something first, and then works backwards to try to get ahead of it the best I can. Mr. Gray says, aloha, happy to have you here, dude. Colin says, but the point here is, if they're no longer in the U.S. market, what benefit do they have to keep the U.S. users happy? Thank you, Collins. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, and I agree with, keep your users happy. But if we're not the users anymore, they could easily just say, well, F these guys, even if it's not our fault specifically that their stuff got banned. So anyway, again, I'm just curious to see how it'll play out. I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. So let's see. And I hope you're right, Allison, who says it's far easier for them to do nothing. Blocking the U.S. from updates would take work. It would, but it depends on, how their how their CEOs and how their board members and that kind of thing want to handle it. Sometimes companies will spend $1 million or $1 billion or whatever amount of money just to stick it to a certain group of people. It's been well documented through history that sometimes certain people will go out of their way to spend a lot of money just to screw over a small portion of people. So, but again, I hope you're right. I hope they don't do anything. I hope this ends up being a nothing burger. I hope that we just go on, everything keeps working, and everybody gets along. That's, of course, the ideal situation there. So let's see. I've moved memos. I've moved link stack. I've moved hedge doc. Let's move dbtechreviews.com. Make sure that works. There it is. Actually, we're going to reject all that. I actually added a bunch of stuff to this the other day. I need to be more gooder about doing that. So I'm just going to click. Nope, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do this. I want to do shut down. Say yes. Vindictiveness is definitely a thing. Yeah, it is. That definitely is. All right, so now we've done that. Let's do this and move the storage over to 10 terabytes. We're not going to delete that yet. Do that. That one is up. Okay, so I remember to open the tab down here at the bottom of the screen, so at least I can see the spinning wheel, and that makes me feel a bit more comfortable for some reason. At least seeing a loading icon is kind of a comfort blanket to me to let me know that it hasn't stalled out or whatever. So, just checking something over here. Cool. I will take a look at Josh Downey's message in a moment. All right, let's see. Zach says, well, if it's proven to have a security issue and it's banned, I will not worry about updates as much as that it will be a security threat on my network and I'll stop using it. And that's fair too. Again, I'm looking forward to the report where they talk about whether it's a specific class of device or if it's a certain firmware on a device. I'll definitely be curious to see what the final report on that is. Sorry, Josh, you sent me a message on Patreon. At least that's what Patreon is telling me, or what this email. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got your message, Josh. I will take a look at this later for you, or whatever. But thank you for sending that. Super appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, I'll be definitely curious to see kind of how it plays out. to figure out if it's a specific hardware, if it's a specific chip, or if it's a firmware, whatever the case is. I'm definitely curious to see what it is that is causing all of these attacks, whether it's firmwares that have been hacked because they weren't updated, or whether it was something that the TP-Link put in deliberately, which I can't imagine. Let's switch back over to here real quick. So DB Tech Reviews has moved. That looks good. Root is there. I'm going to go ahead and start that. And then let's give this a second. Got to get WordPress and a database and a Redis container all up and running here. In fact, let's do this. Console. All right, well, it's coming up. I guess we'll just give it another minute or two and see what happens. So I've got that. Yeah, it looks like everything. I don't know why that's running. That's weird. Freaking ads. There it is. Okay, cool. DB Tech Reviews is back up and running, so that's good. So I can go over to resources and take that disk and remove it and say yes. Cool. Let's see. I'm going to save that one. Man, screw it. I guess I'll just do it. Let's see. Mr. Grable says, finally managed to get the Proxmox Data Center Manager Alpha spun up following by getting a PBS up and running on all 3 nodes. First Proxmox server is finally getting good backups. Yay. That's awesome, dude. I'm really glad to hear that. That's honestly, backups is one of the big reasons that I love Proxmox so much. Their backup solution is just great. It has saved my butt so many times in the past. Really, really glad to have it. Glad you're using it to its full potential, at least for your setup anyway. That's great. Glad to hear it. URLs shut down. I'm going to click there. Volume move to there and move. That one should be a fairly small one. Yeah, I noticed once I got my HL15 updated to Proxmox 8.3.2, Data Center Manager actually started showing me what was going on my HL15, and that was kind of neat. I should really look at that. PDM. Yeah, let's look at that together. Advanced, proceed. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that is for Proxmox demo there. There's my HL15. Let's go to the dashboard. There we go. Yeah, so we can see that it's basically everything out there is HL15, which doesn't surprise me. Yep, all of that looks good. So yay. All right, still nothing there. All right. Proxmox on the R720 freaked out every time I tried to mount my TrueNAS server. Backups would just hang the entire server. Oh. Oops. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why it would hang like that. That's so strange. Jorge R says, just to say thanks to you and 2 other YouTubers, I started my own home lab, right now running Proxmox, TrueNAS, and Home Assistant, all with my own domain name using traffic. Keep up the great work. Dude, that's great. That's amazing. I'm really, really glad that you've got something set up and working for you. It's always such a feeling of accomplishment to jump into something like that and try it out and have it work. That first eureka moment, so to speak, is such a thrill. And then you just kind of keep going with it. You try new things, you add new containers, try new configurations, so many different things you can do. Absolutely love it. Cool. All right, URLs has been moved. So let's go ahead and start it. Oh man, let's give that a second. Cool. So now URLs is up. I didn't want you guys to see what I was doing there. I apologize. Just some things have to. Some things still have to be secret, you know? You want to remove that one? Yes, I do. Let's see, add guard home. God, that is so much storage for that. I don't know which one this is. That's 39. That's fine. All right. So we'll say shut down. Yes. Yeah, I think, honestly, I think why ACLs is one of the reasons I've stayed away from TrueNAS. Some things, I understand why they need to be complex, why they need to be the way they are, but it doesn't mean I want to learn it. We're going to move that. So moving add guard home. In fact, if you guys look, you can see I've got add guard home over here as well as add guard, because they used to be on two separate pieces of hardware and now they're not. So that I really need to move one of those off of here for the sake of keeping my network up if one of the nodes, if something goes offline. Large server. Jesus, Nighthawk says he has an R720 for his main server, 288 gigs of RAM, and 4 GPUs total. Jesus, dude. That feels like you're overcompensating. Just gonna put that out there. 9. Okay, that means iGuard is back up and running, so that I can remove that and say yes. Oh, I hope he knows I'm kidding. Password manager there. Let's go ahead and shut that one down. Overcompensating for a limit. Yeah. Dude, and that's just it. Like that's why I wanted to put 2 GPUs in my HL15, because I wanted to be able to use Plex and the image generating one that we were using for a while. Invoke, that's the one I'm looking for. But again, I've only got the one thing there, and so yeah, I got to figure out a different solution. Let's move that there. So anyway, while that is moving things around, Nighthawk, Mr. Grable says 32 cores, 256 gigs of RAM, and no GPUs. That makes me sad. Everything should have a GPU in it. Now that I have backups working, I'll be using it far more. My N100 NUC PVEs will be happy to give up some workload, I bet. Speaking of TrueNAS, what do you think of the craziness of Hex OS? Can't see paying for a reskinned TrueNAS. I agree with that to a certain point. However, there are some people who don't want to learn the intricacies of TrueNAS. They just want something that works, something that they can very quickly get up and running. And I think for those people, Hex OS is a good idea. I think it's a great option, because getting into TrueNAS and learning how to set up your different storage pools and setting up your ACLs and setting up your shares and then getting your apps to work with those shares and those permissions, and it can be a lot, right? And I don't think everybody wants to do that. So I think what they're doing is great. I think them charging or trying to charge as much as they are, the $300 or whatever it was when I looked at it, I think that was a bit much, but I understand that they've also still got to pay their developers. I know Linus pitched in $250,000 or whatever for an investment. And I know X Systems is, or IX Systems, X, whatever, is kind of at the forefront of all of that. But I still feel like it's, I still feel like it's kind of a lot. Hold on, checking. All right. Sorry, I was just making sure, oops, that my password manager got moved over. So now that's good. I can remove that. So again, I feel like it's got its market, and then like they've said repeatedly, you know, even if HexOS stops getting updates, you can still get into TrueNAS and do things the TrueNAS way if you wanted to go that route. But yeah, I don't know. Like I considered doing it at the $99 price point, but just didn't. So yeah. Colin says you don't notice any performance differences running your LXCs and VMs on hard drives versus SSDs. I don't. Like if you go to like dbtechreviews.com, it should just pop right up real fast. Like my reads and writes are obviously going to be slower, but overall I don't really notice anything when I'm doing my thing over here. No, damn it, I always do that. Stop. I'm going to do shut down, and yes. It's a difference in performance with me at this point. Yep, that's fair. The price. DB Tech Reviews is running on WordPress. You are correct. I've actually considered moving it though, and it's for stupid reasons. Let's see, volume action. I'm going to move that one to there. And honestly, it has to do with the WordPress drama with Matt Mullenweg, who was one of the co-founders who is still running the whole operation, but then kind of went off the rails with WP Engine. I've used WP Engine in the past for different clients when I was doing WordPress development, that sort of thing. I've been using WordPress for almost 15 years now, I think, in some capacity. And I've always really loved it. Once I learned it, I really started to love it. But the way Matt Mullenweg handled the situation with WP Engine made the WordPress community kind of look bad, in my opinion. Not because of the community, but because of the person in front of the community. And so as a result of that, I have considered switching DB Tech Reviews to something else. But that feels petty, I guess, at this point. So I just haven't done anything with it in a long time other than just keep my site updated. And then add content to it. Like I don't know. I've been kind of going back and forth on that. So okay, and that's back up, so that's good. So I can get rid of this, click on remove on that, and click yes. They need a better price tier for and maybe the community edition. I agree. LTT promoting it, at least for some people are going to buy it, considering people pay for Unraid already. That's true too. This afternoon's task is to get DocMost running. Gonna try getting it parallel with Obsidian to see which we want to go with. People have been talking a lot about Obsidian. I mean, for a while, obviously, but apparently the video that I did a couple of days ago apparently integrates with Obsidian. I had no idea. Excuse me. The what was that one called? Sorry, the Excalidraw apparently has an Obsidian plugin. I didn't know. And I think a big part of it is lately, over the past however long, I haven't used a lot of my note-taking apps. Most of my videos have been very much kind of on the fly. and even the little sponsor spots that I've read, I just wrote up a notepad and uploaded to Dropbox for my Parrot teleprompter to work with. So it hasn't really been an issue. But I really, one of these days, probably should look at Obsidian and then self-hosting a synchronizer application. I guess that's a thing. So, yeah, I just haven't done anything with it. Yes. Actually, so Nighthawk says, I really liked Joomla back in the day. Squarespace and Site Builder are great for cloud-based subscription services. I agree. I actually got my start in web development. Well, I kind of initially got my start in web development using Joomla back in like the 1.0 days. And then I actually got a job working for a local development firm or design firm that was in the area that I lived at the time. And they were doing everything in ASP right when ASP.NET was coming out. And I learned very early on at that point that ASP wasn't my thing. ASP.NET wasn't my thing, not because of the language, but because of the community. Anytime I had a question about something ASP or .NET related, and I would post in a forum somewhere, I would ask a question somewhere, just the hate and vitriol that I got from the people who were in the forums was really off-putting. Like they didn't want to be a community of people to help. They wanted to be a community of elitists to talk down to everyone else. But I did that job for a while, and then I moved to Colorado, and was looking for work, and I was on Craigslist, and somebody kept posting ads of like, hey, I can build your company's website for X number of dollars. Here's my portfolio. And I looked at his portfolio and I was like, look, I'm not a professional at this, but I can do better work than that. So I started doing basically the same thing. It actually landed me 3 different jobs by proxy. The first one I got was working for a company that went in and did like rental, like rental refurbs. Basically, like a tenant moves out, renting company hired our company to come in and get the place back up to be ready to be rented again. So that doing web development got me that job as kind of an office manager kind of thing for a while, and then that company sucked. So I went and got I quit working there and went and got a job at a Cuban restaurant, and then built a website for them. And then that company shut down in 2008. And then I started building websites, and I got a job working for a company building websites, and we were using Joomla at the time. Again, it was kind of like 1.2, 1.3 days. Then 1.5 came out, and it was a security nightmare. Our sites just kept getting hacked. Even going through everything we were going through, we just kept getting hacked over and over and over again. I eventually left that company to go work for an ad agency. And while I was working for the ad agency, I started learning how to build WordPress sites. And I realized that I enjoyed that more than the ad agency stuff. But I'd built a good rapport with the ad agency. So the people selling the ads for the agency, their clients often needed new websites. So I immediately had a list of referrals coming in constantly. I was always like months and months and months booked out on building websites for different companies as a result of that. But then I sold my company to another company and became head developer for them for a while. And then one day they're like, hey, I know it's Tuesday, but Friday is everybody's last day. We're closing everything down. And I've been using WordPress, like I said, for more than a decade at this point, I think. But again, I've considered moving away from it just because of the way Matt Mullenweg responded to everything. I thought it was less than ideal. There we go. Neat. That is up and running. So now I can remove that. Click yes. Let's see. Let's see. Nighthawk says, I started web dev with HTML Dreamweaver with Photoshop slicing images from templates. Yep. I did a lot of that in the early days too. I tried to use Dreamweaver back in like 98 or 99. And I didn't get it. So a lot of the stuff I was doing back then was just in regular old Notepad. I had a roommate. I had my own apartment when I was in high school, my senior year. Had a roommate who kept getting the AOL CDs, so we just kept getting free AOL forever. But I got interested in how does this layout work? Why are these things there? And I just started looking at source code, and that's how I taught myself a lot of HTML initially. And then there was man, I can't think of the name of the app. There was another app that I used for a while where you could just kind of like cut squares or cut shapes out of images and turn that into a web page via some app that I can't remember. And then I started getting into cutting up Photoshop files and creating my own templates and doing all of that eventually. But I always really enjoyed it. Borg Swarm, dude, glad to have you here. Mr. Graywolf says the company I work for chose Drupal over Joomla. I'd rather they chose Notepad over Drupal. I agree. Here's the thing, and I haven't touched Drupal in a long, long time. Drupal was super, super powerful for being a content management system. For a while, WordPress couldn't touch it. But WordPress has come a long way with their plugin community and that sort of thing. But yeah, no, Drupal was a beast last time I looked at it, with a lot of opportunity to do a lot of really cool things. But it's one of those things, it's very much if you don't know, you don't know. Because there's so much that Drupal, at least at the time, could do that other content management systems couldn't. But I think a lot of those other solutions have caught up. I always wanted to learn Drupal, but it was just so convoluted for me at the time. I keep doing that. Shut down, yes. So I never really learned Drupal all that much. I tried a few different times and just couldn't do it. Macromedia, I think that might have been it. I remember building my first website for the company I was working for and editing and front page. Thank you. That's what it was. That's the one I was trying to remember. Yeah, front page for a long time in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it wasn't great, but it got the job done. Front page was where I started, and I discovered Dreamweaver and how much cleaner the code was. Yep. Why Proxmox? Why not something like XCPNG? Because I learned Proxmox first. I guess is the best way to answer that, Michael. I've looked at XCPNG. The problem that I had with XCPNG when I first looked at it was that it required that I sign up for an account on their servers and then use that account to log into my locally hosted setup. And I didn't like that. So it was very much, well, screw this. I'm just going to stick with Proxmox. I also really like the Proxmox backup server solution that they've got built in. And now they've got their data center manager solution that they're working on. I like Lawrence System uses XCPNG and he loves it based on his content that I've seen. A lot of people use it. It's just not for me. Again, Collins and Nighthawk got me going on Proxmox, and it's been rock solid for me since the day I started using it. Granted, there was a learning curve to it, but once I started learning it, I just love it. It's just what I prefer to use. Let's see, Proxmox seems more home lab friendly, although it's getting much better. XCPNG only recently added easy PCIe Express pass-through. Yeah, that's fair. Argument that the marketing company made for Drupal, but they bailed and none of the updates have been done. Oh, yeah. And that's just it. That's so... When I was looking to get a web dev job here in Colorado, there was a company in town who had built their own content management solution. Oops, one. Give me a second here. There we go. Just making sure this is up. Is it up? It is. Okay. And they built their own content management system from the ground up using Ruby on Rails. And I never really wanted to learn Ruby, but the problem was that if they built your site, they built all of the components for it. They built all of the infrastructure for it. They built everything about their proprietary content management system. So if you wanted to leave, you were SOL. Like, you had to go to a new firm and have them build a new site from scratch on a different platform. And that was something that I didn't want to be a part of. And so kind of the approach that I took when I was doing this is that I would, when I was building sites, like when I was self-employed building websites for companies, I had a designer that I worked with. I paid him $800 per design he provided me. He might give me like 3 versions of a design, but like each interaction, each project, I paid him $800 for the design. He always gave me a great product, and we had worked together for so long in different capacities that I knew what to expect from him. So what I started doing immediately was saying, okay, look, here is, like, after the website was built, I would go through it. I would make tutorial videos. Imagine that. I would make tutorial videos showing the client every step of everything they needed to do to add content to their site, to update their site, to manage their site, everything they needed to know. I created a custom video for them based on their website. So everybody got a custom video or several custom videos. So that if they needed to fire me, if I dropped dead, if something changed, they weren't locked in. They didn't have to spend thousands of extra dollars to walk away from me. And that actually earned me a lot of business because I was like, here's the keys. Here is your root password. Here is your hosting password. Here is your admin password. Here's a tutorial video on every aspect of your website in a nice little bowed up package. And people really, really appreciated that I did that for them. Because I wasn't trying to lock them in. I wasn't trying to hold them hostage for things that they already paid for. I couldn't do that. It didn't sit right with me. And a lot of companies still do that stuff, and I hate it. I hate it so much. The first site I ever built in the front page back in like 99, and it's still up and running. That is bananas. Holy crap. Michael says Veeam supports Proxmox and XCPNG. I've heard that. I've also heard bad things about Veeam, as far as them having been compromised or them being drama or something. I've heard some bad things about Veeam, though I haven't done enough research on it to have much of an opinion other than I've heard. So yeah. But they've got some neat stuff from what I've seen. I just haven't looked a lot into it. Let's see. My day job uses Drupal. I thankfully don't have to deal with it. Yeah, I agree with that. That's what we're dealing with on the Drupal site now that the internal publication team is building something new on Squarespace. You know, when sites like Squarespace first started showing up, I had an issue with them. But I was looking at it from the wrong perspective, right? Like, not everybody has the means, needs, or resources to hire a designer and a developer and a project manager and a this and a that and the other thing that goes along with building a new website. Sometimes you've got a small starting budget, but you need an online presence, and a Facebook page isn't enough. So you can jump on to a site like Squarespace and dig through their templates and find something that works and build something out very, very quickly and have a respectable website up and running in a very, very short amount of time. And I had to change my thinking on that. I think for the right situation, having, whether it's Squarespace or any of the other self-building sites that are out there, sometimes that's just what you need, and it works really well. And you don't have to worry about, oh, did I remember to do that update? Am I doing backups? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? It's just, you're in charge of the content, and they handle everything else in the back end. And hopefully, as long as they've got a good support team and good tutorials, you should be good to go. But yeah. Michael says, no, long-time Veeam customer and it's solid. I believe that. I just, for some reason, I remember there being Veeam drama. No, I spelled that wrong. Yeah, it was... It looks like most of this was from a year ago, so maybe it's been resolved. But apparently their support team was having a bunch of issues for a while. Colin says, hey, I'm out. Got to finish making dinner for the youngins before heading out with the wife. Have fun. Thanks for hanging out, Collins. Appreciate you being here. And maybe that's what it was, Michael, was you said they had a number of vulnerabilities recently patched, but it's a solid product. And that's good to know. I knew there was something. I couldn't remember what it was. But that all seems to jive with what I was thinking. So, oh man. Let's do this. So far, we have moved 105. We're moving all the way down. Except for I think one. We're moving 301 right now. I'm probably going to do up to 1002. I'll skip my VMs, do those later. But yeah. So like I said, I've never actually used Veeam. I don't know anything about it other than what I've read. So if they wanted to reach out to me and chat, that'd be neat. But I'm not going to hold my breath. So. Let's see. What are you using for a storage backend, or is it local storage? It's all local storage for the time being. So you might not have been here earlier in the video. So basically, I've currently got 4 8-terabyte drives running a RAID, I think Z1. So 24 terabytes of usable storage, but I'm only using like 3 terabytes of hard drive space, so it seemed unnecessary to have 20 plus terabytes of storage that I'm never going to use be taken away from me. So, no, excuse me, geez. So, so let's go ahead and start this. So anyway, if I come over to here, disks, yeah. So like a 2 terabyte for my OS, which is way overkill. I didn't mean to use that drive, but I did, and here we are. So these 4 8-terabyte drives right here have been my storage on my Proxmox setup, basically since I set it up. But again, if we come over here and look at the data center, I want to look under here. I guess that would have worked too. Damn it. Yeah, I'm using 2.9 terabytes of all of this. So what I'm working on right now is I added, of course it's going to open all that back up. I added these 2 10-terabyte drives down here, set those up as a mirrored ZFS setup, and have been moving everything over so that I can take out the 3 4-terabyte drives, the 2 SSDs, and the 4 8-terabyte drives, and put them in something else. And just use this as it is for local storage on this. Now, that said, in the past, I've used NFS storage and it worked fine. I know my method wasn't great for everybody, but nothing is. So I used what worked for me. It worked out great. But thought I moved that. Storage 1, did I not? Huh. Man, I thought I moved video vote, but maybe not. I'll be damned. All right, well, I don't really care about that. Let's just do this. So yeah, I've done both, just for different reasons, try different things out, learn new things, that sort of thing. But right now I'm doing everything local storage. I need to shut this one down, do a shutdown and say yes. I would, when I was first getting into Proxmox and that sort of thing, I'd actually talked to Tom Lawrence about, should I set up a ZFS? Should I set up NFS? Should I set up Ceph? What should I do? And he said that Ceph would be overdone, and just advised me at the time to go with either local or NFS. if I remember correctly. And it's been great. Like it's been, I've had no issues with any of this. In fact, having an NFS share can often be better for different things depending on what you're doing. And that's what I did for a while. I didn't have any issues, so I ran with it. We're going to move this over to there and say move. You know, I've never really looked into iSCSI, just for whatever reason. It's never come into my purview. Allison says for every code that's more complicated than a print hello world has potential vulnerabilities. It's how they're handled that's important. That's true. One of the issues that I had going back to when we were talking about the Joomla stuff that I was using that was so, like the 1.5 series of Joomla was so buggy and so vulnerable. Part of it was the software, but also part of it was our hardware. Part of it was our hosting solution in general and the way the boss was handling our infrastructure. Our boss at the time was very much a business-oriented solutions numbers person, really good at running a business, not great with hardware, IT, and infrastructure. So we had one cPanel account that had sub-accounts on it for every instance of WordPress or every instance of Joomla that we were deploying. So one account would get hacked, then it would give them root access to everything. They would compromise everything on the server, and we were just chasing our tails for weeks at a time until we finally figured out what was going on and how to fix it. And it's been so long I don't remember at this point. But yeah, it was such a pain for so long because the hackers were watching us because it was like as soon as we get to like the last 2 or 3, they'd recompromise everything just with a button press, it seemed. So that really messed with our morale a bit. Video vote.evtech.com. That's cool. So yeah. Anyway, so after I left there, I went to the ad agency, and then I started learning WordPress. And then if anybody wanted me to host their WordPress websites on my servers that I had at the time, I required that they go through Cloudflare tunnels. Not Cloudflare tunnels. Cloudflare's DNS for IP obfuscation and some of their DDoS and firewall protection that they had available, even for free back then. So, lots of folks are building out TrueNAS scale on Proxmox and passing disks to the VM. I'm a little leery of the idea. It's going to be add a layer of complexity. I agree with that. I run TrueNAS scale as a VM. Only thing I'm passing through is the HBA, and it's fine. That would make it better rather than passing through an individual drives. You could always roll out a fiber channel for the home. Yeah. I love using my Veeam in my home lab. I would like to use the Veeam zip feature. We'll probably compress standalone backups. Huh. Yeah, I think passing through the drive controller would be a lot less prone to issues. 10 gig network for my main servers, PVE1, PBS, and TrueNAS. Yeah. Let's see. So like, I don't have a lot on 10 gig. The PC that I'm on right now, that we're interfacing with, is on 10 gig, and it goes over to a switch over here, and it's got. So up here, right there, is an 8-port 10 gig switch, and then my my Omada 24-port switch has a 4 10 gig SPF plus ports on it. So like all of my NASs, my HL15, all of that's running 10 gig for fast connections there. That's already moved over. Ansible semaphore. Let's go ahead and stop that one. No, I always click stop instead of shut down. I don't know why. Need to quit doing that. Sometimes I don't understand what Nightbot is doing, you know? The alias of support doesn't exist. I have 10 gig in the house currently since 25 gig is dropping. In cost, it could be an option in the future. I just rolled a 25 gig at the office, and my next SAN deployment is going to be 32 gig fiber channel. Jeez, dude. I've got a symmetrical gig for my network or my internet connection, and that's only because my Almada stuff only supports a 1 gig connection, at least on that end of the house. So I also run 10 gig to my desktop and 2 of my VM servers. Yep. It's so much nicer to go that route if you've got that option. Move storage to there, move. Lost Invasion says, hey, what's up? Glad to have you here. Thanks for stopping by. Really do appreciate it. Allison says 400 gig is starting to come to used hardware resellers. I can't imagine a connection like that. I don't have anything that would support it. Like, I genuinely don't. Senior infrastructure manager for my day job, 20 plus years in the field. That'll do it. Yeah, I would love to have a multi-gig connection here, but until I upgrade my my network gear, it doesn't matter. Like, my laptop is connected at 2.5 gig to the back of the house via. That's a good question too. Via a dongle that I've got for it. So I've got 2.5 gig up at the front of the house for a couple of things up there. Everything else in the front of the house is 1 gig, and then coming back here, I've got a bunch of 10 gig stuff back here. But 400 gig, high-end data centers moving to 800 gig. Jesus. Yeah, I think it would definitely need to be all flash storage at that point. LTT keeps pimping the oh man, I almost had it. There's one company that they keep promoting their drives. Hey, did I find what I was looking for? I did. That's awesome. Sorry, I've been looking for those drives for like 2 days, and I just found them accidentally. Which sounds silly, I know. Man, I cannot think of the name of that company. It's got an X in it. Kioxia, thank you. Jeez, thank you. Yeah, they've been pimping a lot of Kioxia stuff that's super, super fast. I would love to have some of that, but again, doesn't make... yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. I feel fortunate to have what I have. Like, I'm really, really happy with all of this. It just works, except for when it doesn't. And I've been super happy with it. So, Carl, thanks for stopping by, man. Thanks for asking. I'm doing pretty well. I just got over kind of a 3-week-long flu-ish bug kind of thing. But feeling better lately. So that's been kind of nice. That's why we're doing a live stream today. It's been a while. It's been like a month. And I just want to keep kicking myself. But rather than kick myself, I thought, let's do a live stream instead. So doing okay with that. Just kind of got through the holidays into the new year. Planning, obviously, doing a live stream now. Might even do one tomorrow, which I think might be fun. I might try the restream thing or the multi-stream thing. I was talking earlier about possibly doing live streams both here and on Twitch, so that I get the interaction over on Twitch initially and then the VOD interaction on YouTube later. I know a lot of streamers are doing that, and I feel like it's probably not a bad idea. I should probably do something along the same lines there. 186. Let me make sure this is great. Oh, you know what it is? So I'm just making sure here. So let's make sure this is right. 4 containers, yeah, Ansible 7.4. Cool. Just making sure that is up and running. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that. And then we're going to do this Ansible support, which will be that other one I was looking at. And then we should be about done with what I wanted to do today. So shut down, click yes. I got it right on the first time there. Carl says, yep, I missed your last one. Sorry, I've been in Thailand with the wife. Dude, don't apologize for that, man. That's awesome. That's really cool. I would love to go visit that part of the world, but I've never been to any of the Asian areas. Let me get logged in. I don't remember. Let me make sure that all of this is correct, and then, oops. All right. What the hell? Oh, that's fine. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I'm doing a real crap job of it here. Man, I don't have any idea. Twitch TV. Hey, that's me. Channel. Nope, I don't. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Fine, just whatever. I don't care. Yeah, here's my Twitch. So it's DDTech YT. It's real close. It's a culture shock if you haven't been abroad. I believe that. I've been to Scotland twice. Went through England and then up into Scotland, and it was a lot of fun. But even going that route was there was some culture shock to that as well. So I can't imagine what it would be like going somewhere where I just don't speak the language at all. I'm gonna move the storage over to there and move that. But I would love to visit some of the Asian areas, just 'cause I think they're really neat to look at, and I love their food. At least I love the Americanized version of their food. Though I also did eat Japanese food in Scotland, which I thought was interesting, but it was really good too. So I'm TrueNAS scale with 6x14s and a single VDEV using RAID Z1. I should be using 2 VDEVs, but I'm lazy. No, I get that. That makes sense. All right, so it looks like that has moved now. Let's go ahead and start this one back up. And then let's change that to that, and that's gonna fail for a moment while everything comes back up. Yeah, just like the conversation around ECC RAM. Yeah, I've got ECC in my HL15 and that's it. Nothing else on my network has ECC memory. Yeah, everybody's kind of got their own thoughts and feelings on what best practices are for different things. And again, it's what I really like about this hobby is there really isn't one right way to do things depending on what you're going for there. Yay, oh, that's back up too. Cool, so now I can get rid of that and remove that. Did I move this one? I did not. I need to move that one too. I need to do a lot with that. That's I want to move that and move that. And I think that's the last one that we're going to move today. Because again, I want to do the VMs when I know nobody else is going to be using them. The other stuff I don't worry about as much, but like Plex especially, my wife and kid might be using those. A friend of mine might be using those. I don't know, but. Dang. Man. Sorry, just kind of reading through. Your setup is a 10 wide Z2. So you've got what, eight drives? So that's what, like 32 terabytes. crap. Anyway, Michael says can't you live migrate storage for Proxmox? No. In order to move things from one storage node to another, even if it's still both local, you got to shut them down, move them over. We talked about that, demonstrated that a little bit earlier. I know there are other solutions out there that isn't an issue, but for this it is. And in the end, it'll be fine. I'm just about done. Like once I get this one moved, this 109, and then these 3 down here, I'll be done. Won't be a big deal. If you get server hardware for your NAS, you may as well go ECC. It isn't vital. Yeah, like my Synology NAS came with ECC RAM in it, but I couldn't. I honestly couldn't see spending what Synology wanted for ECC RAM. I just couldn't justify it. So I found a good kit. I think 32 gigs of RAM. That's SODIMM DDR4 or whatever, popped it in there, and it's never been an issue. So, so I don't worry about ECC on much of anything, because none of my stuff is all that mission critical, all things considered. Like it would suck if I lost some of this stuff, but I can always go back to yesterday's version of it and be fine. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. Synology is expensive. Yeah, and that's why, like, going with this, Synology is expensive. The software is rock solid. That's why I use their software to back up my phones, because it just works. I've had one hard drive fail. They sent me the Seagate Exos drives when they sent me the device years ago. I've had one drive fail, and everything else has been fine. I think I threw a terabyte or 2 terabytes of NVMe storage in there for caching. It came with a 10 gig NIC in it. And I swapped out the RAM just because I wanted more RAM. But it's been great ever since. So I've been really, really happy with it. Oh man, so yeah, DSM has been around forever. That is a true statement. I know they've also got like a non or a less proprietary version of that. I don't know how else you'd say it, but a version that you can kind of deploy on whatever, I guess, or they used to anyway. Is this? Don't care. Great. And that Allison says DDR4 ECC is so cheap if you're going used. And like I made this switch years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. DDR4 SODIMM ECC. Let's just look on eBay. Let's just do this. Let's see, SODIMM, 8 gigs. Yeah, like that's ECC SODIMM, DDR4 2400 megahertz, which would be fine. So 16 gigs for $50. It's not bad. 2133, isn't that? Oh, no, it's a little slower. Yeah, those actually aren't bad prices. At some point I might switch it, but I don't know if I care. Like, even that's not a bad deal for being that. I think they use MD RAID with LVM on top of Peters. Finally got in the company to buy me a Synology device for testing. For our India market, as a Synology server, it's been solid so far. Yeah, like there are things running on my Synology server right now that have been up and running for years with very little downtime, no issues, that sort of thing, and it just works. I do my updates when I remember to do my updates, and it's always just been great. So yeah, big fan of the Synology stuff. They were, I'm sure I've said this in the past, they were the first big company to reach out to me, be like, hey, we want to work with you. We want to send you some hardware. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. You know, whatever you want to do. There was some back and forth, you know, where they asked me kind of what kind of stuff I did, that sort of thing. And I told him, and so they sent over the DS1621 XS Plus. And I honestly, when I first got it, I was obviously really happy, as one would be. But then I realized it had a Xeon processor in it, and I was really, really sad. Because I wanted to use the Synology as a Plex server, and Xeon, at least at the time, wasn't great for video transcoding. I don't know if that's changed, but at the time it was not great for video transcoding. So I ended up having to go a different solution for my Plex stuff. But now, as far as for what it does, for what I have it doing right now, it's been great. Like it stores my files, it runs my Docker containers that I need it to run, and it's been great. Coalition Gaming is here, dude. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate seeing you here. It's been a while. Do lots of folks tick that they dropped the H.264 codec from the 722? I guess I wasn't aware of that. It doesn't affect me because I don't transcode on there, but I can see why that would piss some people off. Still not great for transcoding. Very few models have an iGPU. Usually only the ones on desktop sockets. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, they weren't meant for that. They were meant for workstation stuff and server stuff and that sort of thing, not video stuff. That's what GPUs are for. But no, like the TerraMaster F4 or F420, F4 or 424 Max does transcoding great. It's been awesome, minus it not turning on at one point when I asked it to do a backup. But I'm sure I'll get that sorted here at some point. Yeah, no, really, really happy with my current setup. But of course, I always get I get these needs to tinker, and I don't know what to tinker with, and then I get in this like executive dysfunction cycle of I want to do this, but if I do that, I got to do this. If I got to do that, I got to do this, and then this, and then this, and then, and I work myself into a circle, and I never get anywhere with a lot of my projects, and that sucks. But you know, I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to change some of my habits and that sort of thing to make it easier to do different things. The TerraMaster stuff, Thomas is like Domino's. Yeah. The TerraMaster stuff has gotten better. The newest version of TOS is actually pretty good. When I did the video on the 424, F4 424, DB Tech F4, darn it, 424. Copy link headers. Yeah, when I did that video that I just shared in chat there, I discovered that their operating system has gotten a lot better than the previous generations, and actually acknowledged that in that video. I've never actually used any of the Ugreen stuff, so I don't have any point of comparison on the Ugreen. Specifications. Let's just do this. TOS, damn it, TOS. TOS just says TOS features. That's not helpful. I don't remember if it was 6 or 7 that came with it. This TerraMaster allows you to put different OS on their stuff. Yeah, in fact, I did that once. Made a fun video showing how to install TrueNAS on it, and it worked great. Except that I didn't know how to use TrueNAS, so that was a disaster. But the actual installing the other operating system on it went really, really well. The hardware is great. They can run any OS. I always wanted to build a NAS, but could never really afford how much storage I want. Saw the HexOS stuff. Picked up an early bird for a good price. Maybe this year I'll build it. Yeah, I actually thought about doing the early bird thing, but then just didn't. And I think HexOS early bird is out of the question at this point. HexOS. Get started. I'm just curious. Yep, $199. Buy now for early access. Let's see. Yeah, still $199. It was $99 before that, but it's going to go up to $299 later. I don't know. I don't know that I can fully. I don't know if I can justify paying to be a beta tester, even though I know the license goes beyond that. I don't know. But also I hear you as far as not being able to afford the amount of storage you want. Like, I totally get that. I've been a big fan of using refurb drives from Go Hard Drive over on eBay. Again, not sponsored. I tried though, but they're not doing sponsorships. Had a 6-bay for about 5 days before I sent it back. HexOS, you can think of it as a skinned version of TrueNAS, except that it's got the folks behind TrueNAS working on it in conjunction with some other people. In fact, I think some Unraid people, So like Unraid and TrueNAS kind of got together, if memory serves, to build HexOS, which, I mean, it's an operating system layer on top of TrueNAS, so that you don't have to go through and deal with the minutia of setting up volumes and VDEVs and ACLs and all of this other stuff and user accounts and shares. And HexOS kind of does that in a more simple format. And it's not for everybody. For people who are already familiar with TrueNAS, who like TrueNAS, who know how to use TrueNAS and Unraid and that sort of thing, HexOS probably isn't for them, right? I think HexOS is more geared toward people who just want something that works well. And it's built on TrueNAS, which does work well. This is just an easier way to approach TrueNAS. I don't agree with the price. I think if they had stuck with the $99 forever license, I probably would have done that. But just because, again, I want to promote, or I want to support what they're doing, I think it's great, but I think the price is too high. So, I'm in the same boat. I've been running Zima OS as a VM for a while now, and have hardware built to. Yeah, I'm actually using Zima OS. I've actually got a Zima Cube down here. That's what the drives that I'm taking out of the HL15 are going in my Zima Cube, and then I'm going to make some content about it. Because again, I always like to be months behind on stuff. So I was just locking it in. It'll be a long while before I get to it, I think, hoping they'll have a few more nice features by then. I hope so too. It looked good from where it was started. Like the foundation looked really good, but definitely want to go see some more stuff come out of it. Wonder if you call TrueNAS distro like Linux. HexOS is kind of a fork of TrueNAS. It's a skinned version of it. Tried to run Unraid for like a week, performed like poop. Nighthawk says he's gonna go cook some steaks for dinner. Yeah, you should, like he says there, if you aren't there yet, you should think about joining our Discord. I agree with that. Sorry. Other stuff I don't want you guys to see, nothing personal. Discord. Yeah, this should work. Copy link address. Oh, well, there you go. I was going to share it that way. But there's our Discord if you want to check it out, want to come hang out, talk, that sort of thing. There's almost always somebody in there talking about tech or cats or aliens or all kinds of stuff. We're kind of all over the place in our Discord, so definitely check that out. Zima OS added an AI app to... I'll have to look into that. Yeah, Discord link was shared. I was hoping HexOS was going to be more paid by sponsor type OS. I'm not going to pay for an OS. Yeah, like I get that. I used OMV for a long time. In fact, it's more or less how I got into self-hosting was Open Media Vault 5. Yeah, 5. And then 6 really took a dump. 7's better than 6 was, but I still like 5 better. Realistically, though, as long as it can do some SSD caching on a hard drive array and have some locally accessible interface for configuration and updates, I'd be happy enough. I kind of agree with that. And considering TrueNAS is what I've wanted to use first, but I just don't want to mess around with it very much. Yeah, and that's just it. Like TrueNAS, like I set up TrueNAS once on a piece of hardware, and just having to go through all of the different steps to get it to work was so counterintuitive to what I was used to from using things like Proxmox, from using things like Open Media Vault, and some of the other solutions out there. TrueNAS just seemed backwards to me, and I didn't want to put. Did you try them both? Hold on. Did you try both Discord links? Let's do invite people. Edit the invite link. Don't expire. No limit. Generate a new link. Copy. Here, there's another Discord link. That one should work. You will have to like agree to the terms of the Discord before you can actually join, though. It's literally just like clicking a box, and you should be good to go. But yeah, I didn't get into TrueNAS just because it was so convoluted and backwards from what I was used to that I couldn't be bothered to do it. Caching plugin. I was thinking of adding an SSD caching plugin for my. I don't see why not. I haven't actually done that in a long time. I didn't. Man, I guess I didn't even realize that OMV had a caching plugin. I would. New Link worked. Cool. I'll go ahead and actually swap that out in my other thing over here that you guys still can't see. Nope, like this. Damn it! Come on. To Discord. To edit that and save. Cool. All right, new Discord link. This works perfect. All right, cool. So that's good. Glad to hear it. I really need to expand on what I'm doing, though. Like, I need to do more with different operating systems. I've notoriously pigeonholed myself into several things several times. I originally did it with like Open Media Vault, and then Docker containers and Proxmox, and like I really want to expand some of my content, but just having kind of an issue with acceptance from parts of the community. See, Josh says, I've been running the 45 drives Houston app on Cockpit on the HL15. It's pretty bare bones, but I found for storage I could pretty much set it and forget it. Yeah, I had all that set up when I got my device too, but I like Proxmox so much that it was kind of the first thing I put on it was that. So. All right, looks like we got some people joining the Discord. Really, really glad to see that. Love seeing that. Let's see. I hope it would fix the waking up of my RAID when doing transfers. Sometimes I get slow speeds when transferring files and have to go into my OMV and wake it up. That's weird. Yeah, you might check your sleep settings in OMV. Oh, you're running Proxmox alongside Houston. That's an interesting idea. Hadn't considered doing that. So yeah, anyway. Sorry, getting sidetracked, looking over here, or Houston alongside Proxmox, but either way, Proxmox for hypervisor and Houston for storage. Yeah, I don't hate that idea. Never... haven't really done much. Like I looked at Houston for a bit and dug it. I thought it was a good product that they've built, but yeah, Houston. Houston is a 45 drives product. I think actually based on Cockpit. I think Houston is kind of a reskinned, modified version of Cockpit. Houston is the base OS. Red Hat. But I liked the look of it. I liked what they were doing with it. It gave some really neat insights into the HL15 specifically that I really liked. But then I think Collins ended up with that drive accidentally. So, but yeah, so it is what it is at this point, I suppose. One other thing, and I've talked about this in the past. It's an interesting question too. I don't know, Allison. That's a good question. So in the past, I've talked about this this video vote. I need to go in and clean it up a little bit. But if you guys have got ideas for videos that you'd like to see me cover, check out videovote.dbtech.com. I've linked it there. So if you've got video ideas, you can go there and you can either see what's already in there and upvote it or downvote it, or you can enter your own suggestion here. You will need to log in via Google or GitHub. I used to have it set up for like a mail thing, but people didn't like to give their email. I'll never see your email address, right? This is just to get authorization to post in here and vote, I think. Yeah, you gotta do that. But if you guys have got video ideas you'd like to see, topics you'd like to see me cover, come in here, either post something new or upvote something here. I need to go in and clean some of this out again. But this would be a great way for the community to engage across the board for video ideas and that sort of thing. Rescan tweet, add features. Yep. Michael said, I have one of those CWWK N100 boards. They have reached out to me a couple of times in a real sketch way, and I don't know if it's really them or not, so I've ignored them. I've been interested in the CWWK stuff, but the way that I have been approached by them or something just kind of puts me off. Have you tried OMV on top of Proxmox? I went straight from OMV to looking at an install Proxmox, adding OMV. Yeah, that would seems like that'd be really convoluted to have OMV on top of Proxmox, but that's just me, maybe. It's sitting in the corner with 320 terabyte drives, but really unsure what I want to do with the OS, running the drives. Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to move that either. I have TrueNAS Scale running on it as a replication appliance. I guess that makes sense. Huh. Wow, all right. It's interesting and in purple. Oh, man. Okay, guys. I think I may need to call it. It is already 5 o'clock my time. We've been at this for 3 hours. Eric, I apologize for you coming in right now as I'm about to wrap things up. I have taken a look at Waza or whatever it's called, but not enough to be super comfortable talking much about it. But yeah, look, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to go spend some time with the family this afternoon, the rest of this evening, that sort of thing. We got up to 999 views with 25 concurrent viewers right now, 55 likes. If you guys haven't liked the video, it'd be cool if you did. I'd really appreciate that. But I may, depending on how tomorrow goes, I may be back here doing the same thing tomorrow just to hang out and BS, because I haven't done enough live streaming lately, and it's been really bugging me. But now my head's feeling better, my body's feeling better again, and I want to do what I can while I can and hang out with you guys. So like Allison Pell says, do the YouTube things, like and subscribe, all of that would be super, super helpful. I'd really appreciate it. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out for the last little bit. Right. I also do have, I'm glad that Mr. Grey Wolf said that. I may actually try a multi-stream tomorrow. If you prefer Twitch, I do have a Twitch account that I'm going to be setting up, or that I've got set up, that I'll be restreaming to as well. There is my Twitch URL if you want to check that out as well. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hopefully we'll catch you again tomorrow if I'm able to do this. And if not tomorrow, then in an upcoming video and the next live stream, whenever that happens to be. So again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Really, really do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you again here real soon. Weird.